2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions. Only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Yo, what's the deal, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast, brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night, the most lit Panther fans chop it up from the fan perspective. We're the longest running Panthers podcast around, including the team itself. So what we ask for you is to be a part of the community. Call into the show at 252-228-5098. Go ahead and smash the thumbs up button. Look, this big ass broke thumb smashed the thumbs up so hard I broke it. Broke it clean across. Right, so be a part of the community, get in the chat room, tell a friend about the show. I love when people hit me up on Twitter at cat_chronicles to build this community together. And tonight we've got a great show for you guys. Marty Hurney is gone. In fact, tonight's show is called Marty Goney. And the Carolina Panthers have finally given Marty Hurney the axe. So we'll be talking about why, and finally why the timing, why it was right, and where the Panthers go forward. But we've also got a big presentation tonight. Prosecutor Cody Lashney is going to go to a Panther Nation jury and plead his case for trading up to the number 1 spot for Trevor Lawrence. And he believes he knows how to do it and why the Carolina Panthers should do it. You got to hang out to hear that conversation, because it is, in some people's minds, brilliant, in other people's minds, bizarre, right? So we've got that. We've also got to talk about the Packers game, comments from Tepper on Marty Hurney, on Teddy Bridgewater. So a ton to chat about tonight when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. Again, we want your input. The number's 252-228-5098. Let's go ahead and get into it. Cody Lashney, my friend, my co-host, welcome to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Tony Dunn, Christmas has come early like a high schooler on prom night, and I'm fucking pumped about it, dude. I'm so pumped that I prepared a PowerPoint presentation for y'all tonight. We're about to go hard tonight. Listen, on my TV, I got some Zach Wilson balling out for BYU right now. I'm talking about the Carolina Panthers after we just fired our terrible fucking GM, Tony Dunn. We're going to do it with the best fans in all of YouTube, damn it. Underground West, Bill Dotrieve, Humble Flip, No Fool, The Bat Daddy, Elucid Proximity, 10 Tizzy, 704 Bound Charlotte, QT0, Cousin, Chef Jeff, Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
The man of many podcasts, Greg, my friend, the Bat Daddy 52. Welcome back to the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Thank you, sir. Good as always. You know, me and Cody been talking for a couple of days about this conversation we're about to have, and I knew he was gonna bring the heat, so I had to bring the Warhammer just in case I got to whack-a-mole Cody for talking some nonsense. But I doubt I'll have to do that. I'm sure he's gonna make a good argument. I'm interested to hear what he has to say.
My head's hard enough anyway.
I hear you. All I'm saying is I'm watching a guy right now that we don't have to trade up for that just threw 5 touchdowns in the first half of this game. So
Yeah, we might still have to trade
see
up
what
for
happens.
him. Hold tight.
See what happens. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
We've also got Jason Hewitt, SI.com, and friend of the podcast. How you doing, man?
What's up, y'all? I'm doing good. Marty is gone. It is a new day in Carolina, and I'm excited with y'all, man. I'm excited to hear that presentation too, because I'm on the trade for Trevor train as well. But at the same time, I feel like we have a different approach to it. So I'm just looking forward to it all, man.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Yesterday morning, around 9 o'clock, David Tepper held a Zoom press conference where he announced that Marty Hurney would no longer be a part of the Carolina Panthers. He would not be the GM going forward. And it was a pretty, in some ways, some people might not care for Tepper, and how blunt he can be, or honest, it seems like. But I think he told us a lot of what we've all been thinking and saying, and that is that Marty Hurney's just a little bit too old school, and that he has been kind of just looking for a new way to run a football organization, and he decided to part ways with Marty Hurney. I think he gave us some insight into why now and not last year. Cody, how did you rejoice when you heard this news?
I literally got up in the morning to my Twitter mentions, just exploded of everyone adding me and asking me what we're going to do next and what's happening. And then I finally see the headline, Marty Hurney has been fired. And it felt like a 100-pound weight had been lifted off my chest, man. There has never been a more important offseason in the history of the Carolina Panthers than the one that we're about to go through. It is absolutely imperative that we have a competent general manager that knows how to evaluate talent, who knows how to manage the salary cap, and who knows what players to sign and not sign. This is very important for us, man. And I'm hoping that David Tepper has the insight to bring in the right person for the job. And I'm hoping that he casts the net far and wide, because we're going to have a ton of competition. This should have happened last year. Now we're going to have to be in competition with a bunch of other organizations that have more money than us. They have more draft picks than us. Some of them have better draft picks than us. So it's a very inopportune time. But, man, thank God it happened, dude. It had to happen. You all know I've been yelling this from the top of my lungs. I said I would die on the hill, man. Whenever I say I'm going to die on the hill, that is something that fucking I believe has to happen. It finally did, and I'm just basking in how this feels right now.
I tell you this is that I think I can see some of the wisdom in the timing of this GM move. All right, I was looking at a story, and I've been, and I would say some of the wisdom. I disagree. I wish I would have happened last year. I've told you, I've made my point clear on this podcast over and over that I like the idea of a GM and a head coach being lockstep together in vision and accountability. So one thing is that you bring in a coach or a GM and they're not together, then when something goes wrong or when it doesn't work as planned or any disagreement comes about, a sort of power struggle seemingly can arise. And when you bring them in tethered together, they can either swim together or sink together. That, I think, unifies their vision a little bit more. But now the Carolina Panthers have hired Matt Rule to a giant contract, right? 8 years, sort of nearly, I won't say unprecedented money because Gruden got some crazy money, but big time money too. Enough to get him to leave a big time program that was in very good shape, with a lot of interest from other NFL teams. So I thought that now you got to bring in a GM and he's got to be able to work effectively with Matt Rule. Their visions need to be able to mesh, and they need to mesh with David Tepper's. But I was reading a story today on The Athletic, and I think one of the guys that writes for The Athletic is what is his name? He was talking about how it's not necessary that you have to hire a GM first, or that maybe we give GMs too much credit for how power exists in an organization. And he said you should not liken it to that of the MLB terribly, but instead think of it by, you want to know who has the power in the relationship, look at the contract. He referenced Oakland or LA, Las Vegas, third time's a charm. Las Vegas as being a good example of this is why Mike Mayock is the GM there. John Gruden is the $100 million man. So to say one holds sway over the other, really follow the paycheck in that way. So I do think it's possible in the NFL for it to work in this fashion. I think it was an appropriate time now because, guys, we need to get a head start on scouting. We need to get a head start on developing that vision with the GM and Coach Rule together. And I'm glad that we did not wait to the end of the season. If anything, it could have come maybe a month earlier. Guys, Jason, let's go to you. How did you receive the news of Marty Hurney's departure?
All right, so it's actually crazy. So around this time last year, I actually published an article with SB Nation saying that Marty Hurney appears to be safe from the Panthers chopping block. And it's this one sentence in here that's actually kind of crazy. So basically what I said, I'm paraphrasing here, was that basically Ron Rivera and Marty Hurney have similar styles, and their styles kind of coexisted with one another, which is why they work so well. But at the same time, like you fire Rivera, but you keep Hurney around for what reason exactly? Now, sure, he hired the VP of football operations and director of football operations and everything like that to help him out. But at the same time, why keep him around if he has that same conservative mindset when it comes to the game of football?
Right.
When you have, I guess, other guys who you could go after back then. And so here we are now, kind of like in the same situation where you have to ultimately find the guy. I mean, it's almost a mirror image to me.
It felt like we kicked the can down the road for no reason. I mean, I said this last year. There was no reason to keep him on at a point in time where your whole football team, be it the front office, your personnel, everyone is going through this new transition into a brand new phase of Panthers football. And I just don't see what the point was in having Marty for as long as we did. It never made sense to me. I will say
this is why here there is a little bit, and I think I started to see it from his interview. And this is a quote from David Tepper. He says, "Quite frankly, I think it was good for Matt and good for me to have another year with Marty. Marty's a great guy to have as a teacher and a person like that around." I think what this is that I think David Tepper knew that everybody was going, what was going to be the most successful exodus, I think. And I think he knew that given Matt Rule, a NFL franchise with zero experience, and then saying, hey, here's a brand new GM that's never probably been the GM, and you guys, good luck, is that he gave Rule an opportunity to get his sea legs. Now they can bring in somebody that they together, Tepper and Rule, see as their kind of guy.
Well, and I did want to mention this. The best thing that came out of either of the interviews with either Matt Rule or David Tepper was when Matt Rule said, I do not want to be GM. And that made me just, like, that took more weight off my body, because I cannot stress enough, your head coach and general manager need to be separate. The guy who calls the plays needs to be different than the man who signs your check, because they're incentive laden. If a receiver gets a certain amount of catches in a season or a certain amount of yards, then incentives kick in. If you have a coach who writes the contracts, knows the incentives, you don't want them to be game planning to make sure that a character or that a player doesn't get whatever the amount of reps or whatever, that way they hit certain roster bonuses. You just don't do it. It's never been successful other than Bill Belichick. And I would say Bill Belichick, not coach, but Bill Belichick is one of the most overrated general managers that there is in the NFL today. So that makes me happy because that says to me, we don't want someone that's going to be a yes man to Matt Rule and does everything that Matt Rule says. Matt Rule wants there to be someone who is in charge of running the daily operations of the football team and managing the 53-man roster. That's incredible. I love that.
Greg, the Wicked Witch Hurney is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
Well, I still in the same kind of way I was before, where I'm not preaching that Hurney was the best GM ever, because he definitely wasn't, but I don't think he was that bad of a guy. I mean, he had his faults and he had some things that he, wish we could have changed, but every GM's like that, I think people focus too much stuff on a GM that's not necessarily their fault. And when they're arguing for other GMs, they'll use those same things they mess with Hurney with that they don't count against other GMs. I mean, look at John Lynch. We would consider John Lynch to be one of the best GMs. I think I brought this up last week. He's had a great drafts. So it's not just about how you draft. They've done great with their salary cap. Everything over there is great. One winning season in 4 years, and they lost in the Super Bowl.
I think a lot of point.
One winning season with all that great drafting. So it's not the GM. I'm telling you, man, it's not all about hitting
it's
so many
about
different
context too. They didn't have their quarterback until they traded for Garoppolo. Then they had a bunch of injuries. It takes time to build these.
I want to point out, we can't talk about John Lynch and give him credit with injuries and not give Marty Hurney credit with injuries. A lot of people he drafted, he had problems with injuries.
I think we're missing the point. I think we're missing the point now, because now that Marty Hurney's gone, is ultimately whether or not he is average, below average, terrible. Is
not our problem anymore.
Right. And
exactly.
And I don't even know if it's an argument. We've debated it for the last month, I feel like, heavily on the show. That is the exact question we need to be asking. Instead of asking whether or not Marty Hurney is a good, bad, or whatever GM, what we need to be asking is what kind of football program does David Tepper want to build and what he has in mind. Right. And what we've seen is as David Tepper has come in, and he said this, he said it over and over. He said, the first thing I wanted to address was the business operations side. We saw some vast changes made into the organization on the business side, even from the deals with the Pepsi going to Coca-Cola, right, over Pepsi, I think, or vice versa. The building of the complex. The question, right, is that he has gone aggressively at this. He looks at the Carolina Panthers as a $1 billion business, which it is. Yeah. And he is interested in pushing and furthering that along. What I see now is he's starting to talk about the way a front office, he is in many ways contending, or at least he suggested in his interview, that football operations themselves are somewhat archaic. And that it's time for them to take or he would like to be part of the next evolution of thinking of how a football team is run. And I think that goes from, and that's not talking about how practices are run, maybe a little bit of that. Maybe it's some about how plays are called and players are called. You hear Matt Rule saying, oh, well, this only converts 7% of the time. But I think he's thinking in more theoretical terms of how do you get a guy who is the GM, a guy that then surrounds himself with the team, and that team is then working effectively with the owner, and the owner and the coach are working together. And it seems like Marty Hurney is just a relic of the past, while David Tepper wants the young, forward-thinking Wall Street guru to take over the football side of the operations. And I think that's why he believed Matt Rule was so important, because he thinks he's inventive in those ways to a degree.
704 Bound Charlotte says Tepper said he wants playoff Super Bowls and winning for years to come. That's great. It's a good thing no other team wants that. Should be easy to obtain. Right.
Well, here, and to be fair to Tepper on this, is that banging a square peg through a round hole is not the way to do it. And what
Right.
we've been doing is that in many ways we have what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over again, and
Expecting
hoping to,
different results.
right? And so I think that this is exactly what he's saying, is that it would be insane for me to not try to break out of this rut. And I need to find, it's on Panthers.com. That's where it's at. All right, so I'll turn the mic over to you guys to take the conversation to the next step.
Well, let me first do this. There are 32 likes and 66 people watching. Act like you got some sense and hit the like button, y'all. I'm about to show y'all how the Panthers are going to move up to draft Trevor Lawrence. Marty Hurney is gone. This is time for celebrations. Hit the like button and let's fucking go. You know we're going to do this every Tuesday night. And look, one of the things I did want to mention about this whole thing is I find it funny that wasn't it the same time last year that Ron Rivera was fired? Like it was around the same time.
We're on the same
Yeah,
time.
it was like three or four games left in the season, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like David Tepper, even though he was late on firing Ron and Marty, one of the things that I do commend about him is his ability to say, okay, I tried something, I made the wrong move, but now I'm going to cut bait and I'm going to start the process early on doing the right thing. And I feel like, we don't have a very large sample size as far as David Tepper's decisions are concerned. But what we do have, I feel like, other than cutting Cam Newton, which that's a whole nother debate in and of itself, but David Tepper has made genuinely good decisions for our franchise. And, I'm happy that he's made the moves that he has.
Here, I want to get into some quotes that Tepper. So this is kind of a Q&A that was highlighted by Darren Gant in the Zoom call. And the question was, could you walk through the process of the decision? Tepper says it's been an evolving decision. It wasn't on a whim. But basically, they had a little bit of difference in philosophy. He leaned more towards traditional techniques versus a more data-driven analytic process. But I think of marrying the two. So basically, he goes on to say that he wants more collaboration. And he's not saying that that's where people don't always agree, and that there wasn't any collaboration. But he just says, here's the question, is a certain creative tension between a coach and a GM a good thing for a team? He says, I think there should be discussions, and people don't have to agree all the time. They shouldn't agree all the time, but we should have the goal to win or to be the best you can't possibly be. And he goes on to say that he wants to avoid silos, going on to build a new football structure. So, I mean, this is, to me, why keep Hurney at this point? And I won't say not at this point this year, is that this is at some point you got to turn the page. And this year, what we have seen, Marty Hurney is the last relic of the Jerry Richardson era. The statue is gone. Cam Newton is gone. Luke Kuechly is gone. Everybody, there's nothing there other than maybe one player or two that have some fingerprint, or a few players that have their fingerprints because of Marty Hurney. But this is a turning the page of an era. And to speak on that is that, look, if you think about it, last year it was Ron Rivera. The beginning of this year was Cam Newton. And the end of this year was Marty Hurney.
I want to do pinpoint a comment real quick, just because I thought it was funny. Kevin Boshoven in the chat says he likes to fire people at Christmas time. He's a Christmas movie villain.
Oh, that is true.
Hey, those guys always lose, though.
It was the day after his birthday, Marty Hurney's birthday.
Oh.
Dang.
Well, I mean, he could have done it on Sunday. Have you heard? You always see every year football players getting released on their birthday. And, like, the team will put up, like, a happy birthday post to them in the morning. And then after the game, they get cut. And you're like, oh, that didn't age well. Let's go ahead and jump into the cat calls and see what some fans have to say about this. The number's 252-228-5098.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Hey fellas, Kyle from VA. Just got the notification that we have fired Marty Hurney, and I'm sitting here reading the article from the Panthers, and it's saying that Tepper, Hurney and Tepper clearly had different views of what this team should be going in the future, and that he wants to, more data-driven, and Hurney's more the traditional. And I know that a lot of people say Hurney's done a good job, and he has to some aspects, but, even Tepper admitted it. He hears the people, the fans talking, that he should have been done this when he hired a new coach. He should have went and got a new GM, but nevertheless, he's doing it now. And Tepper obviously has a vision for this team and wants to make this team a successful franchise. And, I'm excited. And wish the best for Hurney, but it's time to go get a new one, go get a new GM. And I feel like we've had a good season so far as like all the new pieces we have. So next year, just hopefully we can build on that. We can get a GM in here soon. Get him and Rule and everybody on the same page. And props to Cody, man. Props to Cody. I know he's going to be crazy on the show tonight. Anyways, I will catch y'all on the show. Keep pounding.
All right, man. Thanks for the call. Let's go ahead and pound.
I feel like maybe I haven't delivered enough. Like everyone's waiting for me to fucking take my shirt off and go. Listen, I am elated, man. I'm so happy. I've been happy for 2 days, man. I haven't put on Twitter. David Tepper doing this made all of 2020 worth it. Which fucking whatever, right? We're in our emotions. That's how I feel. So yeah, man, I'm just happy that we finally made this move. I'm feeling like I did after Ron Rivera was fired. It was a move that needed to be made. It's never personal, man. I don't know any of these dudes. I'm sure they're all wonderful guys, family men, all that good stuff. But look, it's time for us to move on and do some bigger and better things with some new people that have a new set of eyes to look at a new situation with. It's time. It's time. It's time.
No, you're absolutely right, and I think we need to kind of jump on that train of like, hey, look, is football? The world is changing so quickly around us. Think about what a GM must be going through, trying to figure out, like a GM like Marty Hurney, trying to figure out how to Zoom everything and use file share rather than attaching documents to emails. And I know that sounds like me, basically Marty Hurney's personal email is a Yahoo account still. He still clicks on the Internet Explorer browser and he thinks E stands for internet.
Homeboy still has a Palm Pilot.
Yeah, and look, football is and that doesn't mean that the young thing always trounces the old hat, but we are evolving, and football is evolving in the same way. And to think that you could bring in like a Bill Parcells, and just because he did it in the 80s, in the 90s or something like that, in the 90s, that he can replicate that in this era is a little foolhardy. You don't maybe take over then you should replace a Fortune 500 executive for a tech company with an old industrialist CEO.
Yeah.
All right, next call.
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, this is Chuck from Elizabeth City calling.
What's up, Chuck?
Got quite a bit on my mind today. after watching the game Saturday night. Kind of first want to look at this game. I guess it was the best scenario that we could expect for moving up in the draft since we moved up to number 4. I thought we played a really good second half competitively on defense. I was really impressed with the undrafted rookie Miles Hartfield. I think he played well. Of course, Jeremy Chin still balling out, doing what he does. Number 1 pick, Derek Brown. This was his coming out party. He looked really explosive and disruptive. And, of course, Brian Burns. I think we're doing okay on defense. I really like what our Phil Snow has put together, and I think we've got more pieces than we think. There's a lot of young guys on this team, and we're finding talent. One of the big issues I had, we definitely still want to win, but in this situation now, it's looking good, coming close. You want to be competitive and see growth, but you still kind of want to come up short now because this draft pick is so valuable now. And, I found myself rooting. We got a chance for down 14-3. We're getting the ball downfield. Teddy finally threw a nice long deep ball to DJ Moore. And
still behind him, though.
Is that we get in a situation here, 1st and goal. Maybe the play call wasn't the one that Joe Brady should have made, but Bridgewater just putting the ball out like that and fumbling was so irresponsible. And he was becoming such a thorn on our side, in our team's side, that I realized if I have to suffer with him for one more year, but he definitely is not the answer. But I really did like what I saw from a lot of young guys on this team. I think we played well and competed. If anybody watched that game through and through, by the end of the game, and you could even hear the announcer say, hey, this Carolina team, they're young, they're developing, they're getting better. And I think that's one of the things we can look forward to with this team.
All right, we're going to go to the second part of his call in just a moment, guys. And we're not going to get too much into the game in this part of the show. We're going to save a little bit of that later because we're kind of in the Marty Hurney news and the change. But Derek Brown really did show out today on Saturday, and finally kind of that monster in the middle, getting pressure in that way. But this defense was the story of this game. After, I want to say, they scored a touchdown. They scored 2 touchdowns in the first quarter and then another one in the second quarter at 3 minutes and 31 seconds left in the second quarter. After that, the Panthers defense forced the Packers to punt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, then held them to a field goal and one more punt by the end of the game. This defense really did turn it on. Thoughts on Derek Brown and the defense, guys, before we go on to the second part of the call?
I was thrilled with Derek Brown. Listen, I feel like even, people know I want Isaiah Simmons. So it's like whenever Derek Brown does good, it's like, oh, look at Derek Brown now. You didn't like him on draft night.
It's clearly the right pick. It turned out to be the right pick. Derek Brown
and my problem was never with Derek Brown, the player. I never disliked Derek Brown. I think he was rated number 11 or 12 on my big board. Like I rated him high. I just don't think that you should take a one technique defensive tackle with the top 10 pick.
I know, you should take a tight end.
But we did anyway. And defensive tackle, that is going to be one of an area of strength for us going forward. Because no matter what we decide to do, if it be a 4-3 or a 3-4, by the time we get some more personnel, everything is going to run faster and more efficiently because of Derek Brown being able to blow up the interior of the offensive line. I mean, the guy is a monster. His technique has really come a long way this season. And you can tell he's putting time in. He's putting work in. The dude has incredible strength.
And he's played every game. He's been available. And while he leads the league, and not leads the league, but has really great numbers when it comes to tackle for loss, getting pressure. He finally got home twice. And I think, Cody, is that we don't even need to bring in Isaiah Simmons is that when you couple Derek Brown now with how great Jeremy Chin has been, is really kind of we had so many just gaping holes in our defense after the retirement of Luke Kuechly, after just ultimately the downfall of KK Short. James Bradbury. We're leaking like a sieve, and Derek Brown plugged up a big gap in the hull of the Carolina Panthers boat, and Jeremy Chin kind of was like the sump pump getting the water out.
Yeah. Yeah, the defense was very impressive. And, what's funny about the defense is they've been able to keep us in every game this year, almost every game this year. The defense has given us a chance to tie or win the game, or to at least have the opportunity to do that. So, I mean, while we haven't had the best defense ever, I think the defense kind of plays to its competition a lot of times, like a lot of people think the offense does. But Derek Brown is looking great, and it's good to see that if we spent 7 picks on defense, that towards the end of the year we're starting to see some of the fruits of that the defense looks like it's starting to improve. These guys are starting to mesh, and maybe next year the defense is going to be even more solid, and that'd be really nice to see.
Jason, thoughts on the D in Green Bay?
Absolutely. The fact that they held Aaron Rodgers to, 143 yards was impressive enough, because I thought it was going to be a field day for him. I figured that he'd throw for 300, multiple touchdowns. Mm-hmm. It would just be a wrap. And that wasn't the case. Initially, it was looking a little rough, I'm not going to lie. But eventually, they held it down. They meshed together. And when it comes to Derek Brown, look, man, Derek Brown has been producing all year. The thing is, you just don't see it on the stat sheet, man.
Right.
When you watch the line of scrimmage, they're doubling him. The fact that you have to double team a rookie is insane.
He's
to me,
so
anyway.
strong. This guy is so strong. Like, he looks like
exactly.
Who was it? Did you see the guy, the Saints defensive end in that Chiefs game? The white guy with the blonde hair.
Trey Hendrickson.
Yes. He was just bull rushing that poor left tackle. I mean, he wasn't trying to put moves on him or nothing. He just manhandled this dude all the way to the quarterback. That's kind of what Derek Brown can do, and he's like 20.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And it's go ahead.
Interesting note, though, you mentioned that Aaron Rodgers had 143 yards passing. Aaron Jones did have 145 yards rushing. But they did really tighten it up at the end, or after the second quarter, second half. And we've been known for slow third quarters as a team. And to think that this isn't a slouch team. We gave Kansas City problems with Patrick Mahomes, or at least impeded their progress. And we definitely gave Aaron Rodgers more difficulties than he had against the Saints.
Yeah, 704 Bound Shaw that was in the chat said that he was listening to Aaron Rodgers on Pat McAfee's show this morning, and Aaron said that the 3-3-5 defense that we ran really did give him problems in the passing.
He said it was weird. Yeah, he was like, it's weird. I don't even know what it is. And what it means is we're just going to go box out downfield, and good luck.
Well, it shows how rare what the Panthers do on defense actually is. And I maintain that this isn't a conscious decision by Phil Snow. In fact, they even said on the broadcast that, even the Panthers coaches don't know quite what this defensive alignment is. That, the roster is young. They still need more talent. It's a work in progress that's still evolving and growing. So a lot of people have been concerned about that. I know people on this podcast have said it too. I wouldn't worry about the 3-3-5 moving forward. I don't think that'll be what we continue to do. I just think that's what we're kind of ham-fisted into having to do right now.
Yeah, especially with that secondary. Nick Montiera with Super Chat. Thanks, Nick. Anyone see the close-up of Rodgers at the end of the game, he asked. He was shook. The defense was getting to him. And when we've gotten pressure, we've made it difficult on quarterbacks. It's just when they've got to sit back there and pick us apart that it's been problematic. All right, let's go to part 2 of Chuck's call. Don't worry, folks, in just a moment, we're going to be getting to Cody's case for Trevor Lawrence and how the Panthers can and will get him. All right, back to Chuck in Elizabeth City.
Hey, guys, this is Chuck from Elizabeth City calling again. This call I want to really concentrate on. I really had a lot to say leading up to the weekend about Marty Hurney. I went back and pulled some things, and one of the things I was looking at was the 2019 draft, Brian Burns. Definitely that was a great pick. But I look at Marty Hurney making these picks. When we had a second-round pick and 2/3, we really wasted those picks. First of all, Hurney trades up 10 spots to pick Greg Little. We probably could have had another offensive lineman or a different player, but he really gave up the third-round pick to Seattle to move up 10 spots, along with our second-round pick. So we ended up taking 3 picks from round 2 and 2 picks from round 3. And we got a guy in Greg Little who really is starting to show a little bit of a bust. And I can't give up on him yet, but it definitely looks like we gave up too much capital to move up. We should have stayed where we were. Second of all, our last pick in that draft that year in the 3rd round, the 100th pick, we took Will Greer. And all Marty Hurney kept saying is, we got our quarterback. He was the best one evaluated. I think we definitely know this could be Marty Hurney's downfall, because when you look
Who made that noise? I gotta know.
That was me.
And I definitely see him back. And Hurney is he's dug his own grave. And I want to throw Tepper into this, because if you really want to look at it, Tepper brought the team in 2018, but he came in after the 2018 draft. So that 2019 draft was the first draft Tepper had, and he kind of was getting his feet wet to see what we had. I think he sees what Tepper did. I mean, what Hurney did. I mean, he had a 3rd-round pick in 2018 in Golden that got released not even a year into
the worst.
it. And
I like the Golden pick.
Talent like that. And he has shown that. Now, the 2020 draft, Hurney had a spectacular draft with Brown, then getting, we got Chin, and I'm trying to think of who else. We got Gross Toast. And I'm looking at it, and it's a great draft. But was that a Marty Hurney draft, or was this Rule and the guys picking who they wanted, and Hurney was just along for the ride?
That's what
I will give Greg.
Well, I think this call came in. Thanks, Chuck.
I know we've been screaming for tight end, but I started seeing a little bit more tight end development and being thrown the ball as a safety valve for Bridgewater in this last game, and Ian
saw that this week. Yeah.
Catches. I'm hoping we can continue to see that, because we definitely could use him.
Thanks, Coach. Great call, Chuck. Big shout out to Sarah Taylor. Chin might heal my broken heart of losing Kuechly. I hope he can heal this thumb right here as everybody smashes it up. And I give you a thumbs up for this $14.99 super chat. He has been a missile. You know, it's a giant. There's been 2 really bad things that have happened in the midst of the Marty Hurney news. Number 1, Kevin Green has passed away. Rest in peace. Former Panther, WWE or WWF back then. Maybe he was in the WCW. I don't know which one he was in. Kevin Green passed away at like 58 or 52.
58, yeah.
Super young, Hall of Famer. And the other bad news was that the Carolina Panthers have been super snubbed when it comes to the Pro Bowl. Neither Jeremy Chin nor Brian Burns made it. Brian Burns has been the most productive defensive end in the league in many categories, and sacks being one of them. I think Hassan Reddick is probably caught up real quick because he's had like 2 5-sack games. But gosh, Jeremy Chin has been a tackling machine. He plays with a motor that is ridiculous. He has made big time plays. He arguably is the defensive rookie of the year. And I think he should have been a Pro Bowler, both him and Brian Burns from this team. Mm-hmm. So that's the bad news. Greg, what do you want to say about the?
Oh, I was just wondering who is poo-pooing on the Will Greer pick, because I've been
doing research. What did I say?
I've been studying tape lately, and I just wanted to know who it was that said that. So,
okay. By the way, can I say something about the Pro Bowl snubs? Yeah. So listen, if you want to blame someone, don't blame the people that voted. Blame the fucking decision makers in Carolina that decided to bring Teddy Bridgewater's bum ass here to Carolina. Because this offense is so fucking boring because of that quarterback that this team is forgettable to not only fans, but other NFL players as well. Yes. Did Brian Burns get snubbed for the Pro Bowl? Yes. Did Jeremy Chin get snubbed? Yes. And is Jeremy Chin probably going to get snubbed on Defensive Player or Rookie Player of the Year? Yes.
There's no way he's winning that without making the Pro Bowl. There's no way. I mean,
well, he didn't make the Pro Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. Without making the Pro Bowl, there's no way.
Right. Yeah, 100%. So listen, like this team is boring. This team is an afterthought to fans of every team that isn't the Panthers and most other players out there. We're an afterthought. No one thinks about us. That's why this quarterback conversation that we're about to have is fucking important. It is so incredibly important that we grab our quarterback of the future in this draft cycle. It has to happen, or your favorite Panthers are going to continue to be snubbed for the Pro Bowl every year.
Okay. Did you guys hear David Tepper say, he said something about one of the reasons that, or one of the things he differed or did not like about Hurney is he referenced giving a contract with, like, ultimately suggested that it was Teddy Bridgewater. The Teddy Bridgewater contract was too rich for his blood. Did you guys hear this?
Well, we saw how it out, didn't we?
So hold on. Tepper said the Teddy Bridgewater contract was. Can't
Here,
the
owner
owner
the
kind
quote
of
for you.
supersede
Here,
the GM? Can he say that I want you to do this and?
Let me read the quote for you. Is he says, all right, so he was asked about the quarterback class this year, and he said, quote, the NFL, when you talk about a quarterback and you think about about what you're doing there, it's an ongoing process. It's a question of who can be that guy that can help you win. That's the most important position on the field. So, and he goes on to say, and unless you have that guy for sure that gets you to the playoffs and Super Bowls, you have to keep reevaluating that, because that's the only thing that matters is Super Bowls. And until you have that guy, you're evaluating every year. Then he went on to say that, gosh, where is it? I read it today. Oh, he said this, as he goes on to say, Tepper, this is from The Athletic, Joe Person. Tepper used a hypothetical that sounded like an awful lot like Bridgewater. For instance, quote, you should look at how different people perform at different times in a game. Make sure that you have that understanding before you make a contract with someone. How do they perform in a fourth quarter? Or how do they perform in a 2-minute drive? Or how do you perform like that? Make sure that you have some sort of data and those data points which would make sense when you're making the decision, as much as how much you think they can throw. That sounds like Teddy Bridgewater, and it sounds a lot like what I've kind of said, or what I've said is it's not even about bringing Teddy Bridgewater in. It's bringing in Teddy Bridgewater with a history of injuries, with only a 5-game sample set from a very good team with the New Orleans Saints, and giving him a 3-year deal. Mm-hmm. And I think Teddy Bridgewater would have been fine to bring in on a 1-year prove-it contract, like Cam is having to do in New England. Right. The 3-year deal, and I think that's what he's saying, is that, yeah, it made sense in the COVID time because we had the connection to Joe Brady and this and that, but we committed too much with too little information.
Two things. One, we know Tepper's lied to us before. He'll look you right in your face and lie to you and not care. This, to me, sounds like the exact reason they kept Hurney around was for this purpose. If Bridgewater fails, you're our scapegoat, because there is no damn way in hell they signed Teddy Bridgewater that 3-year, $68 million deal without the consent of David Tepper. There is no way in hell he's using him as a scapegoat. We just solved the mystery right there. That's why he was there this year, was to be the scapegoat in case Bridgewater failed.
I disagree, and I'll tell you how I disagree.
Okay.
I believe that what was the final straw that broke the camel's back in firing Marty Hurney was seeing how bad Teddy Bridgewater has been playing. And that a combination, we all have our theories, right? Who decided to bring him here. So David Tepper said, wait a minute, I let this three-way powwow of Matt Rule, Joe Brady, and Marty Hurney make a decision on a quarterback who is thoroughly underperforming. Okay, so what does that tell me? That he wants a guy in the building that can actually make decisions, that actually has the wherewithal to know what contracts to sign and to be able to have the balls to pull the trigger on those kinds of moves and deals. Marty Hurney is not that guy. He has never demonstrated the ability to be that. And if you listen to Matt Rule, he says that Marty Hurney did such a good job at always listening to everyone. And he was like calling me up to 5 times, even on draft day, and asked me a bunch of questions about what we should do and how we should do it. And all that told me is that we have an unassertive GM who doesn't really know what he's doing, who doesn't really have a vision on how to build the Carolina Panthers. And I feel like that's what prompted David Tepper to say, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. We have to have a legitimate, intelligent decision maker in the building. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is what made him realize that he didn't have that.
Greg's got a good point, though, is that to relinquish, to wash, cleanse, to Pontius Pilate David Tepper in this, to cleanse his hands, and wash his hands of this is a little too convenient. And that the idea is that both of them probably learned a lesson here. And I don't know who both of them is and what the lesson is. I just know this is that you should have the Teddy Bridgewater bridge is not a terrible plan when you think of Joe Brady, but Joe Brady hasn't played with him. It hasn't been around him in two years. On top of that is that he wasn't half the coach he is at that point. So you're asking Joe Brady for his advice on his first day of the job. Can you make it work with Teddy Bridgewater? Yeah, there is a familiarity that will work, and that's understandable. The real problem is the length of the deal. I understand Teddy's agent is fighting against the 1-year deal, but you got to fight back, and maybe 2 at the most. The 3-year deal gave Teddy too much. It just showed too much faith in him.
Yeah, too much faith in someone that has never proved it. He never proved it when he was with the Minnesota Vikings, and he never proved it with the Saints. Even in 5 games, I don't care what he did, he was on a much better roster with a much better offensive line, and even then, he was basic.
Yeah, yep, exactly. All right, Jason, you got something to say on that, please?
Yeah, man. This is my theory, man. It's kind of a mix between Cody and Greg. Right? So basically, what I think what happened was at the beginning of the season, Tepper sat Marty Hurney down and was like, look, bro, you brought this guy in for 3 years, $63 million. If this don't work out, that's it, bro. That's it. If Teddy doesn't work out and if this defense isn't performing like it's supposed to with the amount of weapons that we have, then you got to go. I feel like this was his test to Marty Hurney to see if he could be that guy, and he failed that test. And so now he's gone, and Tepper can finally find the guy that meshes with him and Rule perfectly.
Cody, question in the chat room. Is Zach Wilson worth a top 5 pick? How many touchdowns did he have in the first half?
He had 5 touchdowns in the first half. I believe now he's at 6 with and they just entered the fourth quarter. Yeah, Zach Wilson, listen, you're hearing it here first. Zach Wilson, unless Justin Fields and Ohio State go off and change his destiny, all the people, all the talent evaluators on Twitter and all the buzz is that Zach Wilson has moved his way firmly into QB number 2, right behind Trevor. So it could be Trevor goes to whoever has number 1, Jacksonville or the Jets or Carolina. More than that in a bit. And Zach Wilson is probably going to go to number 2. and Justin Fields might fall a little bit. So
here's a hot take question for you. Did Justin Fields playing this season, if he had decided to sit out because of COVID, has his stock dropped?
Yeah, but it's more because of it wouldn't have benefited him to sit out, because Trey Lance not being able to play a full season this year has probably lost more than $1 million. Zach Wilson's going to pass him. Matt Jones might even pass him because idiot general managers like Marty Hurney would fall in love with his passing stats and think that he's wonderful, and he isn't. Listen, I think Justin Fields is still a top quarterback in this class. And I think we would be lucky to have him too. But Zach Wilson, I mean, he's getting Aaron Rodgers comparisons. Daniel Jeremiah today on Twitter said that he reminds him of Aaron Rodgers. And I like that comparison. Similar body type, similar arm talent. You know, I'm talking just from a physical,
mobile, but not insanely fast like you, man.
He actually is pretty fast. He's just not built very thick, so he's fast. You don't want him to take a bunch of damage like Cam.
No, you don't want to run him like that. You want him to run like and arguably, you want a quarterback who runs like Rodgers or runs like Wilson, and maybe what we think Kyler Murray is going to run like. And that is opportunity strikes, occasional design calls, but you have the mobility to extend plays but when that is predicated on such a large part of your game, it doesn't have to be. It's not a bad thing, but I think that Russell Wilson's mobility is ideal, and that is you're not calling RPOs with him and stuff like that. It's just he can move around, and if it's there, he can make a dash for it. I just saw Luke Wilson run tonight, or Zach Wilson, and he was fast, but I think it's going to look slower on an NFL field. That's my point.
Yes, it will.
You know, so it's not that and I don't need it to be like Lamar type fast. I just need for him to not be like Big Ben is right now. You know what I mean? Is somewhat mobile to where I would say Teddy Bridgewater mobility is fine for me.
I bet you Zach Wilson will probably run a faster combine time than guys like Daniel Jones and maybe even Deshaun Watson. Deshaun ran a 4.67, and people would say Deshaun Watson's pretty fast. I'm willing to bet Zach Wilson can probably run a low 4.5, and that's fucking Gucci. That's
all right. We're not gonna let the people wait anymore. It is almost 10 o'clock. I want first to encourage everybody who's watching to smash the thumbs up button. Appreciate everybody in the chat. But now it is time.
Oh shit!
All rise. Court is in session. Cody Lashney. Tony Dunn is the judge. The jury is Panther Nation. The prosecutor pleading his case for a historic trade. Cody Lashney. And the defense will rest in the hands of the Bat Daddy 52 and Jason Hewitt. All rise. Let me see if I can get Cody on the screen first. Cody, please stand up and address the court.
Okay, one, you can't make me if you tried. Number two.
Well, address the court, sir. Good point.
Come on,
sorry. You need to, can you say, Cody, objection. I just found the judge in contempt.
Listen, let the angry handicap man talk, all right? I am here to present to you all what I feel would behoove the Carolina Panthers.
You take a drink for that. Hold on.
I am going to present to you all what I feel would be the kind of trade that would get the number one team, whether it be the Jaguars or the Jets, to move off of the number one pick. So before we go into this, let's get a few things out the way that I want you to understand going into this. You have to give enough in the deal that would get a team that needs a quarterback, a generational quarterback at that, to be able to move off of that pick. You have to give them something that's worth that. So with that said, you're going to hear what we're going to give up, and you might freak out. But Panther Nation, I ask that you give me the opportunity to try and persuade you. Because what I think is that I've concocted a deal that would be beneficial for both the team that we are trading with and for us. Tony Dunn, if you would, hit me with that next slide, please.
Go ahead, sir.
All right. The contents of this trade are the Jacksonville Jaguars would receive the 4th pick in the 2021 draft and would also receive every pick from the Carolina Panthers 2022 draft and every pick from the Carolina Panthers 2023 draft. In return, the Carolina Panthers are going to have every single pick of their 2021 draft class. Every pick in their 2021 draft class and the first overall pick in which we select Trevor Lawrence. Now, hold on. I know your instincts are telling you that's way too much.
We get opening statements, right? Your Honor?
No, you don't. Everybody needs to shut up and let the handicap man.
Okay.
All right. Tony Dunn. Hit me with that next slide.
The jury part and stuff was kind of on the fly. All right. Next time, don't use these Jaguar colored letters. We can't read
Difficult to read. Yeah.
Well, I'm the only one that needs to read anyway.
All right.
So
why is this worth it for the Jacksonville Jaguars?
Okay.
Because because I will not interrupt the argument because I do have
my
a
Lord.
counter.
It's so worth it. Here, we're going to give you 40 new players in the next 2 years. Stop running that.
Y'all already talking.
Go ahead. Argue. Make your point. Make your point.
Okay.
Let me mute myself, man.
Tony Dunn. Tony, are you the judge?
Order in the court,
man.
The gallery is out of control.
Okay. Follow me here. First, I want to demonstrate why this trade would be worth it for a team that is moving off of this pick. The Jaguars, as a result of this trade, would have 39 draft picks over 3 years. All of those players will be on rookie contracts, with 6 of them having a 5th-year option. The Jaguars will have north of $77 million of money to spend in 2021. The Jaguars in this draft already have 11 premium draft picks. That would also bring them to 14 picks in 2022 and 14 picks in 2023. On top of that, let's say the Jaguars decide, you know what? We still want a quarterback this year.
Because we'll have 72 opportunities to get another one later. Continue.
Well, so listen, they're going to have an opportunity to draft their quarterback that falls to them at number 4, which will either be Wilson or Trey Lance or Justin Fields, or they're going to have enough draft capital to move back up with whoever's in front of them if they wanted to. On top of that, they would have the draft capital to be able to move up in the 2022 draft and the 2023 draft if they want a quarterback in that amount of time. That allows them to build their football team. That allows them to have a bunch of extra money, and that allows them to also have their quarterback of the future. Now, listen, I already heard the chat room. Hold on to your hot.
You gotta let us get a word in, though, right?
Hold on.
You gotta let us respond.
No, not yet. We're not done.
Okay.
We've got 12 more slides to go through.
No, not 12.
Oh, brother.
I'm just kidding. All
Not
right.
12. Not
Advance.
12. Not
Oh,
12.
brother.
Advance.
All right. Advance. Here was this one. All right. Some fine print stipulations. Any trades made by Carolina after this deal is done would not be subject to the trade, and Carolina would still be able to enter into the 2022 and 2023 draft. So, for example, if we have a player on a football team that we want to trade for a pick in any of the next year's draft, that's ours. It doesn't go to them. And on top of that, we still keep any of our compensatory picks for players that we let walk out of the door. Okay? Move forward. Now I'm going to try and sell you all on why this could be worth it for us.
Okay.
Follow me. We're going to have a brand new general manager. Hopefully, one who's pretty competent. One who knows how to evaluate talent. And one who knows how to how to navigate the salary cap. Okay? So let's go through this. Cutting K1 short saves us $9 million.
Yes, that's correct.
Money that goes towards signing other players. Cutting Matt Paradis would save us $5 million against the cap for a center who has.
You haven't been bad this year, though.
Hold up, bro. Everyone's gonna have to mute their microphone.
Go ahead.
I'm laying out my shit. I'm talking.
Go.
All right. Cutting Robbie Anderson saves $8 million. That could be money that goes towards signing either Taylor Moton or Curtis Samuel to keep him on this football team. On top of that, cutting Stephen Weatherly saves us $5.95 million against the 2021 cap. All of this combined takes our estimated cap space from $12 million to just north of $40 million. That's over $28 million extra spending dollars over the next 2 years. Carolina Panthers, and this is another point that I want to make. This team is not as far away as people have been saying. The Carolina Panthers
down like this.
Brother.
Order
in the court.
Tony, get control, man. Okay.
Hey, watch the way you address the judge.
Sorry.
Right.
I apologize. Okay.
Oh, brother. Continue.
Okay. Where was I before I was so rudely interrupted? Okay. The Carolina Panthers have lost 13 one-score games over the past 2 years. That is second only to the Chargers, who have had 17. This is a football team that is not far away from being a competitive contender. From being a football team, listen, it is possible that with a better quarterback on this roster, this might have been a team that made it into the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying we would have won, but our defense has given us a chance to win so many different times this year, and we didn't have the quarterback to do it. All right, hold on. Let's take this even further. Okay, leaving our 2021 draft class intact provides extra motivation for our brand new general manager and his staff to dominate this draft and make sure that this is a Panthers draft class that goes down in history while you are building around your quarterback for the future. Okay, imagine if we had a Jeff Ireland come on this football team and orchestrate the kind of draft that he provided for the New Orleans Saints in 2017. Imagine a starter on the offensive line. Imagine another starter in our cornerback field. We're going to have our quarterback. We're going to be able to add linebackers. We're going to be able to add through the draft this year with 7 picks. Okay? On top of that, if we have success this year and Trevor Lawrence burns it up for us, all of a sudden, even if we don't have draft picks next year, we have money to spend, And a bunch of free agents are going to look at the Carolina Panthers, see a generationally talented quarterback, a bunch of young players on defense, like Jeremy Chin, like Brown. That's only a few extra pieces away. And all of a sudden, you know what? If you're a player that's looking to win a Super Bowl, Panthers are in a bad spot. Panthers might be somewhere where you can go to win a Super Bowl. On top of this, you have money to pay Taylor Moton. And I'm telling you, 14 picks sounds like a lot, but 2 years goes by so fast. No. Kyler Murray has been in the NFL 2 years now. Josh Allen has been in the NFL for 3 years now.
You don't follow those teams. That's why it doesn't seem that long.
Okay, that's fine.
You know?
2 years goes by fast. Okay.
Can I rebuttal before you go to your next slide? You got. Oh, come on, man! You got to give us some time.
I only have 3 more slides, man.
Okay. I'm taking notes.
Move it along, counselor. Move it along.
Okay, this makes business sense, and it makes cultural sense.
Okay.
I'm here to tell you that David Tepper and the Carolina Panthers just spent $1 billion on a state-of-the-art training facility in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Now, you're going to build a state-of-the-art facility in Carolinas, or in South Carolina. Don't you think it would behoove you to have the most popular football player in the Southeast? I don't know what y'all are thinking, but I guarantee you a star quarterback like Trevor Lawrence playing for the hometown Carolina Panthers team, that's going to get asses to come to the facilities, to buy money, to spend, to do all this shit that David Tepper wants people to do, and more importantly, to put asses in Bank of America Stadium. Tony, hit me with the next slide. We're connecting our histories here, folks. Now, what I'm here to tell you is that the Carolina Panthers started their history in Death Valley, South Carolina, in Clemson. Okay? You are connecting our histories together by drafting one player. By drafting one player, you are tethering the history of the Carolina Panthers.
What Dennis Daly could not do. Oh, sorry.
Well, you are tying our history to what is the most dominant football team in the Carolinas that has a built-in culture that is continuously putting players into the NFL. Okay? It's a part of our history.
Move it along, counselor.
Hit me with the next slide. On top of all of this, and I feel this is what all of you who are disagreeing with me are lost on. And I don't blame you because I am a Clemson fan. So I have watched every single snap that Trevor Lawrence has ever made in college football. But Tony Dunn, if you would play that video clip for me while I'm telling you about this man that the Panthers would be drafting to be their star quarterback for the next 10 years plus.
Okay. It is going now.
They knew they were likely to go to
guys, since Trevor Lawrence has stepped foot on a football field as a college football player, he has been the best quarterback in college football. There has not been another quarterback like this man since the likes of Andrew Luck and John Elway, and I rate him even higher because he has a better arm talent. He's far more mobile. The amount of information that he processes at the line of scrimmage is second to none. He is able to put the football in the end zone from damn near any spot on the football field. He is in control of the offense at all times. He is a generational football talent that does not come along only but once a decade. There have been other good players that have come through the draft, but none of them have ranked as a prospect anywhere close to what Trevor Lawrence does and what he has continued to do. Panther Nation, I know that seems like so much, but we would have money to spend in both of those 2 years. We would be a free agent destination for all players to want to come here and win the Super Bowl. On top of that, we have a generational talent to hitch ourselves to for the next decade plus. I'm telling you, it's a lot. It's hard to do, but there is a way to navigate that deal and make it work out for absolutely everyone involved. Am I a crazy motherfucker?
You are a crazy motherfucker. You are a crazy motherfucker.
I promise.
Man. Oh my God.
This deal would be
would cripple the team. Can I? Oh,
Your
yeah, Your Honor.
Your Honor. The prosecutor.
Oh my Lord. Can I?
All right, everybody in the chat room,
2
settle
words.
down.
Two words.
The
Go ahead.
gallery,
Go
the
for it.
gallery needs to settle down.
Before everyone goes,
Oh, my
do I
God.
have
Rest your
permission?
case.
Wait. Before everyone goes, do I have permission to be seated?
Yes. Do you rest your case?
Yes, bro.
Do you rest your
Thank you.
case?
That's your case.
All right. I will now
All right,
I'll turn to the defense counselor for reality, to the defense counselor for against this whatever it is argument. Go ahead, Jason. We'll open if you open the floor.
Okay, I'll start off. That was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Your points were fabulous. Well, the way you presented your points were fabulous.
There you go.
Thank you.
Brother.
Okay.
Brother.
Talk to
2
me.
words. 2
Sprung
words.
for Trevor Lawrence.
Andrew Luck.
Not playing anymore, is
Do
he?
you know what happened to Andrew Luck over his career?
Are you
What
asking?
happened to Andrew Luck?
He didn't win nothing.
Yes, this is the question.
Okay, so this is a question. Okay, if I can respond. So what Andrew Luck did was the next 4 or 5 years take a dumpster fire coaching staff and a dumpster fire front office and a dumpster fire offensive line and gave them something like 5 consecutive seasons of 10+ wins. Yeah, that is what Andrew Luck did.
Weren't they only 1 season removed from Peyton Manning, who they had consecutive winning seasons before that? How was it a dumpster fire front office and a dumpster fire coaching staff 1 season removed from Evan Peyton?
What he said.
He left.
Right, but they didn't change the entire staff the year Peyton Manning left, the entire everything. I mean, come on,
I'm
man.
answering Jason's question. Jason asked me what did Andrew Luck do, and the point that you made is proven. Andrew Luck did not win a Super Bowl. But
Order in the court. Mr. Hewitt, it's best to address the jury and let's not pose questions. Let's give them answers.
Fair. Okay, so basically, Andrew Luck didn't have an O-line, and so he faced punishment similar to a guy that I'm sure that all Panthers fans are familiar with, in Cam Newton. I know Trevor Lawrence is your boy, right? Clemson, fabulous quarterback, one of the greatest quarterbacks in college football history. Do you really want to see him go through that level of punishment year after year after year? Because sure, you can go to free agency and get an O-lineman, but this past year, we thought, oh, okay, they got Okung, they got Schofield or whatever, they got John Miller, they got all these guys through free agency with the cap that they have. And how does that O-line look right now?
Well, the O-line has looked
Marty Hurney's fault, right?
Well, the O-line, the past few games, I mean, maybe not Green Bay, but the past few games has looked much better than they had at the start of this year. More importantly, I also know that same team, the Indianapolis Colts, had a terrible offensive line, had one draft where they drafted 2 offensive linemen, which, by the way, we could do this year under the stipulations of my pick because we still have all of our draft picks this year. We could draft a center and a left tackle, and all of a sudden, that might be everything we need to turn our offensive line around.
Order in the court. Order in the court. Cody, the prosecutor has had the microphone long enough. Jason, I ask you to present a case why this is a bad idea. You tell us why why Panther Nation should vote against mortgaging 2 full entire drafts for Trevor Lawrence. Make your points in a way that does not give the mic back to the prosecutor.
Fair enough. So basically, the thing is, you have to, any functioning NFL team has to build in some way through the draft. You cannot straight up depend on free agency for 2 consecutive years. And then you think about the salary cap. Well, the Panthers are already in cap hell as it is. Can you imagine what would happen if you don't have a draft for 2 consecutive years? Yes. There is no Jeremy Chin. There is no, well, you can't get a Derek Brown for the next year. I mean, my case is, I think there's a better way of getting Lawrence, but we're arguing against your point.
All right, defense, tell us, all right, Greg, I'm going to give the, please address the court on your reaction to the prosecutor's case.
I will make my argument based on the argument that Cody made. Very, very strong argument. I like the presentation. Looked good. You're one to cut KK short, Paradis, Anderson, Weatherly. So first of all, you're wanting to strip talent from this team to get a player that is the best quarterback in the draft, but is not that much better than the other options we can get. I mean, a quarterback can only do so much. It doesn't matter how good the quarterback is. If he doesn't have weapons, you strip everything away from him, he's not going to do well. Okay? You said earlier we're not far. We're maybe a quarterback away from being a team that's a playoff contender team. Then why strip the team down? Why not draft one of these quarterbacks, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, one of these guys who's going to be a good quarterback? I can almost guarantee you, because we can't guarantee Lawrence's either. I guarantee you one of them, they're going to be decent quarterbacks, better than Bridgewater. And if we're only a quarterback away, like you were saying, then one of those guys works just fine. We keep all our draft capital. Don't have to worry about trade anything. You can't fix if you were to go with your proposal, we cannot fix every position we have just this year in the draft, especially if we get rid of the players you're talking about cutting. We can't fill in those holes just this year with 6 other picks. Just can't happen. A lot of your premise was on if. Look, everybody thought Jamarcus Russell was going to be great. Everybody thought Ryan Leaf was going to be great. There are so many players that have come through, Josh Rosen, that people thought were going to be great. They are NFL ready. They're ready to go. And sometimes they're right. Sometimes they're wrong. I've heard some people talk about how Will Grier is a premium quarterback and probably the best option, 3rd on his board, best we could do. Great pick.
Objection. I will not hear that Will Grier is a premium quarterback in this court.
I'm just saying I've heard people say it. That's all I'm saying. Look, this is true. Also, Carolina is not a choice for free agents to come here, okay? If you're telling me in 2015, when Cam Newton, who's the hottest quarterback in the NFL, takes a team 15-1 to the Super Bowl with Ted Ginn as his biggest wide receiver, if we're a big free agency place, as soon as the market opens, those big free agent wide receivers, whoever wants to come to Carolina to be a part of that. But you know what? They can't make the money here. They can't everywhere else. You're going to get 2 national games, no national commercials. And I'm sorry, but the players consider that kind of stuff. Carolina is not a free agent market. It's just not part of it. Hold on. I'm almost done with the notes here. The $1 billion that Tepper built for the thing has nothing to do with Trevor Lawrence. Nothing to do with Trevor Lawrence at all. He did that if Trevor Lawrence is coming out of college or not. Trevor Lawrence could drop dead tomorrow, and he was still going to do that. So that has nothing to do with that. History, bringing the history together is great, but once again, not really. I'm going for the better pick rather than bringing the history of Clemson and Carolina together. And you got to remember, Right now, Trevor Lawrence is, I'm not denying it, the best quarterback in the NFL, in the college football. And I think he's going to be good. I really do. But he is playing with top-level talent against college players. 150 college players on a team, 10 of them may make the NFL, 4 of them may start for more than 3 years. Okay? That's the averages across college. So when you have the top-level talent on your side and you're playing against not top-level talent, of course you're going to look fantastic if you're good. So I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. I'm just saying it is not worth it to give up the amount of capital. Now, I'm willing to listen to a trade for him. It's not worth it to give up the amount of capital that you're talking about for when we can get a player who's almost as good that can at least get that much done for us with the players we have.
Okay,
it's not worth it.
Your Honor, may I speak here? May I retort, please?
The judge has a few remarks to make.
Okay, John.
One is I don't think whether or not Carolina is or isn't a free agent destination is as big of an argument as people want to make it to be, because it isn't a destination when the team does not have any money. And that is why we have not been able to acquire free agents, is not because of a lack of wanting to come and play with certain players or some attraction. Certainly the market itself does not attract a free agent, but what does attract free agents is cash money. So if you can or can't pay them is arguably the true determinant, I believe, of that. I have one question that the court needs clarification upon. Has the prosecution considered any of the ramifications of shrinking cap size in relation to the reduced revenues for the NFL?
So, yes, that is a tremendous question. As of right now, I am hearing that they're not actually expecting the cap space to fall as much as they previously thought that it would. So it's still kind of up in the air, but that is a great concern. I want to speak, if I can, to a few of the points that Greg made. Okay, so number one, let's get this clear. Trevor Lawrence is not just a little bit better than the next few guys.
Look,
okay, and I like Zach Wilson.
You're talking about the difference of 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns to 4,000 yards and 40.
No other quarterback in this draft has done what Trevor Lawrence has done year after year after year, literally since the man was a freshman in high school. There has never been a time in his time playing football where the end of his season didn't end in going to a championship. You heard me right. Every year in high school, we went to a championship. And so far, every year at Clemson, he has been to a championship. The man is a winner.
Objection from the judge. I call for opportunity to pose a hypothetical.
Sure.
If Trevor Lawrence came to the Carolina Panthers, do you see his first time in his career of not going to the championship in the first year?
Probably so.
Okay. All right. Continue.
I'll bet my next year's salary.
I said probably so, but I tell you what, I also would not be. It would not shock me at all, and I'm not just saying this as a biased fan. It would not shock me at all if Trevor Lawrence comes to this team and provides a spark that everyone is just not expecting. He is that kind of quarterback.
A quarterback can only do so much.
But
yes, the defense has something to say. Go to Jason, please.
So you said Trevor Lawrence is a winner, but I can attest to this since I grew up in Georgia. Cartersville High School, where he went, that is a fantastic football program. And as of right now, they're currently 14-1. Okay. So it's, not to say that, Trevor Lawrence isn't this amazing talent, because he is. But let's keep it real now. Cartersville is pretty much the Clemson of Georgia high school football. Right. So it's not like he was kind of blessed in a sense. Yes, he is an amazing talent and everything. And but everywhere he went, he was surrounded by amazing talent and great coaches. At Carolina, I mean, you have some here and there, but it's not going to be the same, man.
The run will end,
It's not gonna
sir.
be the
The
same.
run to the championship every year of his life would end. The first year
It will end immediately.
The first year it goes to the NFL. Go ahead, Cody, make your final point on your rebuttal. I have another clarification question.
So to further upon my rebuttal, one, we're not going to just erase a bunch of talent that is really contributing to the Carolina Panthers. K'Wan Short is gone, and anyone who thinks different is sniffing bath salts. Okay, Stephen Weatherly doesn't mean a damn thing to this football team. And hey, listen, if we're really hurting for money, I could have went in there and we could save money by cutting Shaq Thompson too. Now we're not going to do that because that leaves
more talent away. You got to replace them.
We're not going to do that because that leaves us with no one at the linebacker position. But what I will say is this: think about how many players from last year and this year we would have on rookie contracts. We would have the 5th-year option on Trevor Lawrence. We're going to have a 5th-year option on Derek Brown and 7 more players to bolster this team with. Another thing,
30-year options, not 5-year options.
Another thing that you're not thinking about is that we're literally going to have our pick of the litter, pretty much, of all the undrafted free agents when we don't have a draft class.
Hold up there. Whoa. Now I'm sold. Sold is that we get any undrafted free agent we want. I think I have some continued.
Give the 1 out of the 1,000 example, and yes, you're right. It sounds good. Look, can I have a closing statement here?
Yes,
and I'll be done. Cody, I like I said, I like your argument here. It's a great debate, but I think that what you are overlooking is the salary cap, and I think that arguing as to be a GM, it's a big part of the GM is a salary cap. I get that. You got Derek Brown that's coming on his 4. He's going to be 4 years coming up next year. If you drafted Trevor Lawrence, you got 5 years before you got to worry about him. Well, guess what? We draft every year. So our first round pick we draft every year, that option goes down once more. So very soon we're going to have to sign DJ Moore. Very soon we're going to have to sign Brian Burns. So if you're giving away all this draft capital, it's much, much, much more expensive to sign a free agent than it is to sign a rookie. Okay, and 2,
it's impossible to load the roster with just
free agents. And 2, just because there's a free agent out there and you have the money does not mean they will come to you.
And it
doesn't mean that you play them, they're going to play them. You have the right to them. So
you will not have the money to attract free agents because you're going to have to spend your entire pool of free agent money padding the roster with average guys. And on top of that, the one other thing is 5th-year extensions. 5th-year extensions are not cheap either. Mm-hmm. They're not the most expensive option, but they are not cheap. And so what you have to go ahead and say is goodbye to Brian Burns after that, goodbye to these players. And then at the same time that they're leaving, guess what? You're missing the opportunity. You're not getting any. It's all the money is going out of the business, and no cash flow coming into the business. My final question for this prosecutor here in this argument is, I think one is that please, people in the chat room and listening to the podcast know that there's one premise that this whole discussion was made on. And that is, how do you move a top team, a team who needs the player that you want? Because my first question to Cody is to clarify this, is if Trevor Lawrence is worth 2 drafts to us, right? Why would a team not take him and just keep their drafts going forward?
Well, that's my point on why it's worth it to us. Because let me ask you this. if any of you are the general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I come to you and I present to you this deal, what would you prefer? This or what did I say? 39 draft picks over the next 3 years, and they still get the ability to choose their quarterback. What
Cody,
do you think they would do? Take this deal or take Trevor?
I would take that deal in a heartbeat. Do you know why? Because I am straight up raping you. Okay? Guess what, Cody? If you don't make that deal, then guess what? Carolina has that option to pick that quarterback and have those 39 draft picks. So what you're doing is you're taking all that stock and all that advantage and just giving it to somebody.
All the division has to do, the Saints, as soon as they play the Carolina Panthers with Trevor Lawrence, they're gonna tear his head off and his knees off. Bouncy Gate comes.
He might actually die.
Yeah, really and because you know what? It's because they're like, you know what? We got a 3-team division,
but Cody,
for the next 4 years.
Cody, the fact that you say that Jacksonville would take that, you're absolutely right. You know why? Because you should take that. You know why? Because that's what we have. We have the ability to draft that quarterback, build a franchise, and have those 39 picks. Why would you give that away for one player?
Like what Tony said, the whole premise.
This is a thought experiment. This was entirely a thought experiment.
It's a thought experiment. But I disagree with you guys. I think if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars or the New York Jets, who both need a quarterback, that even with that deal, I don't think they would take it. I really don't think they would take it. I think Trevor Lawrence means that much in the minds of that many talent evaluators. And listen, I know the deal is thin. I know that it leaves us barren for 2 years. But what I'm telling you is this: 2 years in the desert, on the other end of that. Can we
just go 40 days, bro? I feel like 2 years is a long
your
time.
Wildest imagination, glory beyond your wildest. Listen, imagine
this
with
is
me for a moment.
This is not what is it? Arabian Nights. This is tale out of Arabian Nights right here.
Imagine for me. Just let your mind slip away for a second and imagine a scenario where the Panthers actually have a legendary draft this year. Let's say we get a franchise left tackle. Let's say we get a badass new guard. Let's say we find a steal at cornerback in the second round. Hey, man, but all of yours
hypotheticals, brother.
That's a little too much. Who cares if no, it's not going to happen.
Right.
There's going to be
injury.
It requires a vision.
No, it requires
and there's
being motivated does not make you draft better. Period. Point blank. I can be motivated to do really well. It does not mean that I'm going to make a better selection on a draft pick. Period. Because I make my draft pick based on what I think the statistics are, who I think the guy is. Me being motivated to do well is not going to change that pick. Okay? So being motivated doesn't matter. Sorry, man. It doesn't.
I would maintain.
All right, I got a question. My question is this: can we try to recenter this discussion on this? Is that this is not going to happen? All right,
it's not going to. I know this is not going to happen.
Okay, so let's refocus now that we have gone through our trip through Fairyland. Greg, if you got to go, just drop out, brother, whenever you got to go.
I was just going to say, whenever we got done with this conversation, I was going to go, but if it's a good time right now, so can I go ahead and hop out?
Yeah, man. You have a good night. Follow the Bat Daddy 52 Man of Many podcast.
Very much.
All right. Jason, thank you very much, man. Jason and Cody, I want to find it's kind of hard to find a median when you're on acid. Because that's what this is so far out.
Can I get a little
and
bit?
And here is I'm going to say no. Is that I think this. I think it's nice that you believe Trevor Lawrence is this good of a player. I hope he turns out to be this. But even the most generational talents in the history of football, who are they at quarterback, have only amounted to so much victory, right? I mean, just think about it. The John Elways, the Peyton Mannings, even with those guys, the ceiling of their success was not, it was still, this is so much risk. Yes, a reward is there, and the reward may be reasonable, but there's too much risk for the bet to pay off. There are too many things that have to go perfectly. And one of those just has to do with Trevor Lawrence and him working out. And injury is a thing right now. I mean, we look at what Joe Burrow is that's where the gambling part is a little too risky here. Now, though, the Panthers have moved over the last couple of days from a position that seemingly was outside the top 5 to potentially striking at a top 3 pick, 4 at the worst. It seems like. Right now it seems like it's going to be the Jags, the Jets, or the Jets, the Jags. I don't know how they're going to figure it out. Then you're going to be talking about the Bengals unless they can pull off another win, and then the Panthers. So right now you have 2 teams that are quarterback hungry in front of you, 1 team that isn't. So what I would ask you, and can we talk about another opportunity, is say the Jags and Trevor Lawrence are off the table. Is there a pick and trade opportunity with the Jags that ultimately moves you into second? And what I mean by that is the Jags get whoever is picked at first. I don't know how to tell you, how to say what I'm saying is this.
I know what you're saying. If the Jets had number 2, what are the chances that we would get them to move off of number 2 for us to move up and get Zach Wilson? And that's what I wanted to tell everyone, that any trade that you're going to make to move up, which, by the way, that's why I know this isn't going to happen, because it's just going to require so much. I still maintain it's worth it. I knew that going into this, that people would disagree with me. But whatever. Listen, you have to understand the Jets and the Jaguars both are in desperate need of a quarterback. You might say, oh, Sam Darnold, they might run with him. And yeah, sure, they might. But you're still looking at an opportunity for them to get younger and cheaper with a different quarterback. So at the end of the day, yeah, if you're going to trade up, you have to offer a shitload of picks, of something. They're just not going to come off of it.
Is there a need, Jason, if you see Trevor Lawrence go, Zach Wilson go, do you sit and see if Fields falls to you, or do you try to strike a deal with Cincinnati to flip-flop picks so a team like Dallas, team like, I don't know who else, the Patriots can't zip in there? It's a lot of capital for a team to move up to a 3rd pick. I think you sit tight and you look for your guy there. I just don't know. I don't understand. What do you think's going to happen then if Lawrence is off, is the undisputed number 1 pick? Where do the Panthers go at this point, and do they have many options, or is it quarterback or bust?
I mean,
that's a great question. Listen, man, it's really difficult because that number 2 pick, you could either go, wait, are you assuming that they make that trade, or are you assuming that they're
No, I don't think, I don't even know if you really, how you're going to move ahead of the Jets at that point.
Yeah,
let's
assume
I think they take Fields or Wilson, and then the Bengals go, and you're only worried about someone's flopping with the Bengals, but to leapfrog us. That's the only fear.
Well, if they're in that position, I would. Ooh.
I don't think we're going to move up. I don't think we need to move up. Is that I don't think if Fields falls to us, if Wilson falls to us at 4, there is an outside chance we're picking 3 anyway.
Exactly. And so the thing is, see, there's 3 names. So Zach Wilson, I feel like he really swayed me tonight. So he's definitely up there. It's between him, Justin Fields, and Penei Sewell, who is at Oregon left tackle. I love that dude, man. If he's available, bro. Can you imagine repaying Moton or Moton as well as having Sewell on that other side? You know how amazing that O-line could potentially be within the next 2-3 years? And quarterbacks, you can always find a quarterback in a draft. I'm sorry. I'm not saying that, they'll have that opportunity again, but they could always trade up. There's definitely, I feel like, elements within the team that they could trade to move up in a draft in the future. But I got to watch the combine, man. I feel like that is going to be like the ultimate factor that makes me make that decision.
I just think that the Panthers aren't going to have too many opportunities to grab a quarterback like this.
This year they will. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, Penei Sewell still represents problems. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right. Let's go to the next cat call.
Okay, guys. This is my last call. This is Chuck from Elizabeth City. I kind of want to also go over the fact that we kind of won this weekend, moving up to the 4th spot. We can't get 1. We can't get 2. Trevor Lawrence might be too much of a spend, even if we're at number 4. I was unimpressed with Justin Fields, and the more I look at it, if I'm giving him or Zach Wilson, I really roll with Zach Wilson. But Justin Fields might be there. The way I'm starting to see second pick is starting to look like Zach Wilson is gaining ground ahead of Justin Fields. And I think we know that Cincinnati, if they stay at number 3, that's the only spot we can get. And I just don't see the Bengals maybe winning one more game if we're lucky, and we need them to win 2 more. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think they'll take that offensive tackle from Oregon. But we probably can get Zach Wilson, hopefully. Hopefully it won't be Justin Fields, but we can definitely get a great quarterback. As long as something doesn't go haywire wrong and we win one of these last 2. And like I said, I want to be competitive against Washington. Same thing with New Orleans. But we just need to come up short. So don't take Bridgewater out, because he's proven that the guy is a thorn in our side when it comes to this. But I think we need to start turning our eyes towards the draft and looking at what we can get, a quarterback, some offensive line help. I think we can get the linebacker through free agency. And we definitely have to have another corner, and that's probably going to have to be through the draft as well. Maybe we draft a tight end late. But we got to sign a couple of our guys. But I just want to know what you guys are thinking about, what you guys thought, because right now I'm looking at this, and we definitely have got to hold on to this pick at number 4 and try not to win one of these last 2. Although I'd like to win. I'm kind of seeing it like Cody does now. We need to lose out to go ahead and get this pick.
Yeah, the doors are opening right now for us to get a guy, right? And I don't know who that guy is. If it is Zach Wilson, who seems to be gaining a lot of steam in draft communities and people on this podcast, but also and he's been lights out. But there's some questions. Is that how is he flash in the pan a little bit? The idea that Justin Fields could be your opportunity is a big-time deal, and you got to take it if you're there. But there's some other opportunities, and if you're the Carolina Panthers and you are picking at 4 and you pick the Penei Sewell guy and you got a little capital, if Cody Lashney's willing to trade away 2 entire drafts for Trevor Lawrence, hey, maybe we should move a 2nd and a 3rd pick to move back into the 1st to get a quarterback on the back end if you think he is something that could be the answer there. So, yes, is that in this, once we hit the top 5, the quarterback becomes a real discussion. That's it. Is that 3 weeks ago, we didn't think we were going to be able to crack 7.
Yeah, and here we are.
All right. Go ahead, Jason.
What were you saying?
Oh, I thought you had something to say. All right, well, here, this next call is for you, Cody, since you're back.
No, Cody, no.
Oh, God.
No. Fields the fuck no. No, 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 no. No! No! No!
It's like the dog just peed on the carpet. All right, next call. Cover me,
Honestly,
Cody.
the best scenario is fucking bring Cam back. He ain't going back to New England. And bring him back. Repair that relationship. Do you know these motherfuckers didn't even give this man a farewell video, but they gave Graham Gano one? Do you know how fucking disrespectful that is? That is just insulting. The insult. You gave Graham Gano a farewell video, and then you go ahead and give Teddy Bridgewater a $63 million fucking contract, a 3-year contract. Are you fucking playing with my emotions? That's why Marty Hurney got his ass fucking fired. And I'm telling you right now, from what I just heard from David Tepper, bro, cut loose, cut bait, whatever you gotta do with Teddy Bridgewater, bring Cam back, and I would still go after Justin Fields. Oh, let him just give Cam a 2-year deal. A 2-year deal, cheap deal. Trust me, I promise you Cam will come back on a 2-year deal with all the weapons we have. And then still draft Justin Fields and let him... Oh my God, bruh.
You're not coming back.
That's just a dream scenario for me. Hey, fellas, you know who the fuck this is. Hey, I'm back, baby. Let's go.
G Baby bringing the heat, man.
Yes, sir. I appreciate the enthusiasm. Yeah, That's not happening, buddy.
Hey, G Baby's
no, bro.
Man. And yeah, Jason's right.
Homie, man.
It's not happening, man.
Not happening, bro.
I love Cam Newton reinvigorated my love for football. I love Cam Newton. Cam's not coming back. It's not going to happen. There's no way that our ownership is going to. You said it yourself, G Baby. They didn't even give him a fucking send-off video. If they wouldn't give him a send-off video, what makes you think that they're going to sign?
Cam's going to be a Patriot again.
After throwing 5 touchdowns and 11 interceptions or something crazy, which, by the way, I'm not blaming all on Cam. I'm also not taking the blame off of Cam. It is what it is. That's a bad fucking football team up there in New England. I want to say something real quick, okay? I knew coming into this episode that I was facing an uphill battle, okay? But I'm one fearless fucking cripple, and I knew this because I put this out on Twitter, and people voted on it, and over 230 people voted in my Twitter poll, and it was 60-something% no to 30-something% that were down to draft Trevor and do it to move up for it. But you're right, Tony, when you say that it was kind of a thought experiment, part of what I'm saying is one, that would be what it takes to move up.
Well, when we posed this question, we didn't pose the question to Cody, but we're always talking in the DMs and after the show and over podcasts. And the one thing that I continued to say to him and to the guys in the chat is if Trevor Lawrence is this good, because the first scenario was just give away one draft, right? That was it's give away our first round pick this year and all of next year's draft to move off. And my question, the thing that I still don't think that makes that possible, and I think the deal is super sweet with 2 years of draft picks. I think that one is the one you got to maybe take. But is that if he's this good, if he's as good as you say, you shouldn't move off of him for anything. Despite getting 39 picks or whatever, is that, look, the Jaguars have already got all these loaded picks. And when they get, all of a sudden they get Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are going to be in contention, man. You're going to get they're not bad. They're not awful from top to bottom. They've stripped all those stupid parts to them that are problematic. It would be worse for him to go to the Jets than it would for him to go to the Jags at this point, except for the fan base. But that was the question I continued to pose to Cody why I don't get, give me 2 firsts. Give me the first rounds for the next 5 years. And I'm still, if I think he's this good, I'm not moving off of him. My question at the end of this, though, comes back to this is, if I go to a Gordon Ramsay or his restaurant in Las Vegas or wherever, and he's my favorite chef, And I believe that he cooks the absolute best steak, right, that you can get, which is what Trevor Lawrence in this analogy is. Is there ever a point where that steak is just inherently too costly to equal its value? And I think that that's where we're at on the precipice of this, Cody, is that I don't know if it's really even reasonable to think that you can run an organization without that many draft picks for that long.
I
think it's hard. I just don't know if it's possible. It's unprecedented. Number one, it's unprecedented. Yeah. Is that I think the Saints gave away a full draft for Ricky Williams.
Yeah, which is batshit. That's insane. At least mine is for a generational talent at the quarterback position.
I know.
But by the way, talking about this whole thing, let me pose this to you. Does this conversation change a lot more if it's 1 year? Do you think this is a better deal if same thing? Our draft in 2021 is entirely the same, because if it's the Jets, they already have 11 picks that they earned that are all premium high-end picks.
Yeah, I think so. After the way you presented the case to me tonight, I would say, yes, it has changed my opinion on one, because now, in thinking about it, is even if you gave, say, 9 picks, or say there's 7 picks that are given up, over what would it be over 2 years? You would say like 12 picks, right? The best you're going to do is that I know it's a lot, but let's just say 4 of those picks are meaningless, right? The back end picks are not, so it's like 8 picks. Yes, and the 4 out of 8 of those are very important, right? 50% of those are very important. The next 2 picks are probably moderately important, and the final 2 picks are like marginally important. My point that is being is that, and then you have to factor in that there's going to be misses in those picks. So you're going to miss on, say, a third of them at the best. So you're really then at the end of the day only giving up like 6 picks, it feels like. So yes, is that in one way you can look at it like that. And another way is that I think that with 1 year, I got no problem with it for 1 year. In fact, I almost think that giving away a full draft what would be worse, Jason, to give away all of next year's draft or to give up 3 consecutive first round picks?
Well, see, that was actually my trade. Let me pull it up here, man. So basically, what I would consider is giving up, 2021, 2022, and 2023 first rounders. They can have that. I'm cool with that, considering that this team is a quarterback away from being a playoff team, a generational quarterback away from being a playoff team. I do that. That's fine with me. I'd even throw in maybe like a Shaq Thompson or somebody like that who's high end, but, their production is, so-so, right? So, I mean, it would be worth that. But if you're talking about building a future, I wouldn't cut off years of entire drafts. That was my whole thing. If you're trying to build something, you got to have something that continues to come in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, you got to have. Look, at the end of the day, is I learned this a very important business lesson when I tried to build Carolina Cat Chronicles, and thinking that it was somehow going to be more than a hobby, or somehow going to be more than. That's why we shifted to the podcast, because ultimately, I'm going to tell you, this is business lesson number 1. And I will, if Kevin Gray's still in the chat, man, that's my homeboy from back in the day, and still my homeboy, is I would trust him to help me build a business. I would trust him in a second. But business 101 is that You got to have a revenue stream, man. You know, you just have to have money coming in.
Yes,
Even
sir.
if more money is going out than's coming
Yes, sir.
in, is that you have to have some cash to operate with, or else what you are
Yes,
operating
sir.
with
Thank
is
you.
just more investment money. Just more investment money. You just have to pull more money out of your pocket, more money out of your pocket that way. So you do need a revenue stream. It's an interesting idea. Is I almost wonder this is any of it worth any of it? And that is, a lot of people in the chat room are saying this is, look, it's a top heavy draft. Yes, Trevor Lawrence is this kind of supposed transcendent talent, but we've also heard about these talents before, and they haven't done what they've lived up. Andrew Luck, I think, is a great one. Andrew Luck's exact. In many ways, Cam Newton is not one, but because the hype wasn't there, but he could have been. Like, he should have been that type of visionary. Like, if people really had a vision of what he could have been. I got one last question for you, Cody.
A vision of what could it be, of what could be when you see something that everyone else thinks is crazy.
I got a question: is if Trevor Lawrence and Clemson goes and loses the national championship, what does that do to your evaluation? Because here is the thing: I don't want to hear really nothing, because when you say you are talking about a guy who can change your organization at a flick of the switch, a guy that's worth an unprecedented amount of draft capital, confidence, a risk, a bet that is inherently so risky, if he can't win the national championship with Clemson, and the top talented team in the league, how is he going to go into another league and do that with subpar talent?
So, one, he's already done it. He's beaten Alabama. He's beaten Ohio State. He's beaten Notre Dame.
Right. I'm saying about this, he should be able to do it every
you.
time, right? If he's this good, when he gets there this year, he should be at the top of the mountain right now. I would say if he wins this year, I would say, okay, that continues to pad and add a little bit of weight to your argument. But if he loses, I feel like it really undermines the fabric of that, how transcendent he could be.
I understand you. And hey, listen, Clemson has played Notre Dame 2 times this year. In our first appearance, freshman quarterback DJ Uiagalelei threw for almost 400 yards. Okay, he was not the problem with Clemson the first time they played Notre Dame. Yet the second time they played in the ACC championship here in Bank of America Stadium, Trevor Lawrence shredded them to pieces. He was the difference in that matchup where the first one went to double overtime. It shows you what the presence of Trevor Lawrence does, that his presence on the football field was the difference in them beating the number 2 ranked team in the country. Trevor Lawrence has proven to rise.
Has he ever been injured? Has he ever been injured?
No. So one time,
like a major injury. Like, has he ever suffered like a season? No. So,
and by the way, he's tough as fuck. He will throw his body weight around. I mean, he looks like a thin dude.
Good. He looks great. I mean,
he's 20 pounds.
I think that we have to be careful is that people who don't believe that this is like even not even a realistic, but even people who think that this is a fantastic in a bad way, like fantasy idea, is that they also are not saying that he's not that great. I think they're just saying that it's too fantastic of a concept to even float out there. The number's 252-228-5098. And I do think this is, I've seen Trevor Lawrence throw that deep ball. It is pretty awesome. It's pretty damn awesome. But Peyton Manning Was pretty damn awesome in college as well, and had an awesome career in the NFL. Tough first year. I think Trevor Lawrence is the real deal. Would you say he's better than Deshaun Watson?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes.
And that's tough for me because I love me some Deshaun, dude.
Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, the trajectory.
Will he be better? Do you think he finished his career with a better career than Patrick Mahomes?
Dude, that's an unfair question. Because I mean, Patrick Mahomes is literally in the most perfect scenario.
It's not an unfair question. Is that it doesn't matter the scenario for Trevor? You're saying Trevor Lawrence is good enough to overcome any scenario.
But you're asking me to judge him against a guy who's on the trajectory of being NFL's version of Michael Jordan. So what I'll say is this.
Yes, because you were saying he is the next. You're saying he's LeBron James.
So what I'm saying is, if you judge Trevor Lawrence next to Patrick Mahomes based on everything from high school to college and what they did, Trevor Lawrence is in a notch above Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, I think that's fair. I mean, that's not even fair. It's just real talk right there.
Yeah, and two more real fast points. I would, if you put Trevor Lawrence or Deshaun Watson or Justin Fields on that Kansas City Chiefs football team, I'm taking nothing away from Patrick Mahomes. Patrick is incredible. But when you have that kind of roster, yeah, you're going to be able to have a certain level of success. Number two, if the chat room starts to refer to me as Cody Hurney, I will leave this fucking show, bro. I will leave. That is not the nickname for your boy. You better figure out something different because that's not the fucking one, bro. All right, now let's do it. Okay.
All right, next call.
Hey. You know who it is. What's good, fellas? It's G-Baby.
Bye.
Man, Marty Hurney. Get your bitch ass out of here, motherfucker! You ain't wanted here in the motherfucking Carolina, motherfucker! Oh my God, did Christmas come early? Good Lord. Hey, Cody, I want you to live and lavish, baby. Oh, you better enjoy this day, this night, baby. I want you to just talk shit the whole show. That's what I'm expecting, is for you to talk shit the whole fucking show. You called it, you wanted it, and you got it, baby. Oh, hold on. Look, I need to put this away. Hold on. I got big news. Well, it's not big news, but if anybody talks shit on my boy Cody in the wheelchair again, bruh, I want all the fucking smoke. I don't respect that shit unless you, Tony, anybody that actually knows, dude, that's different. If you a family friend, that's different. If you know him out hard, that's different. But if you just some random motherfucker calling into the show talking shit, bruh, I want all the fucking smoke. Don't talk shit and don't say, oh, I'm gonna kick you out of the chair. Nigga, I'm gonna kick you in your fucking face. And then I'm gonna go to your mama's house, I'm gonna fuck her on a pussy, bro. Don't talk shit on my boy Cody, dog. I don't respect that shit. For real. Now, we're gonna put that aside. Oh my God, this is a beautiful day. I'm sick of just having first round draft picks hit. It's more than that. And not only that, fellas, we are half a game away from being in the third pick. That sounds beautiful, magnificent. I'm kissing my cheek. Yeah, baby, yeah.
Yo,
that was
I got hitters, y'all. I got them shooters, bro. Start some shit with your boy. I'ma send my man G-Baby coming for that ass.
And when he says that ass, he means your mama's ass.
Do y'all want to fuck with that man? Y'all heard him, bro. That man's crazy.
We got our buddy our pal, CK in the house.
Yeah, look who just
What's up, man?
How's it going, boys?
Hey, man.
Are you look at how bearded you are, homie.
Hey,
What'd you say?
You're so bearded. You're so hairy in the face.
Yeah, I am 100%.
Hey, you wouldn't happen to be living the dream, would you?
Bro, living the dream more so today than I think any day
Like, bro, guys, I know you guys may not know who these guys are, but I was playing today. I was streaming with Stone Mountain 64, Marley 13, and Jeff Leach. And those guys are all Facebook partners, don't get me wrong. But Stone Mountain has a very large following, like 3 million followers. And so it was an opportunity of a lifetime, guys. And hey, listen, it was fantastic. Had a great time. And
did y'all get a dub?
We did, not with Stone. The game after Stone left, we got a dub.
Tell him to get his shit together.
Fun time, guys. But that's why I was so late. I had that, and it was glorious, and I had a good time.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you here. You missed. We had a whole trial. Cody Lashney tried to bring a lawsuit against Panther Nation, or file a suit to get to trade up for Trevor Lawrence. We had a whole defense, prosecutor, judge, the whole thing. It was a big deal. So right now we're in the cat calls, and we're going to keep pounding through them because there's a lot still to go.
Woo, it's your boy QT0 out here in Cali, man. Fucking, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed in your boy Hurney being gone, but at the same time, I'm an optimistic person, and I like to look at the cup half full more than half empty. And I know David Tepper is going to go deep into those deep ass pockets and go get that man in the future. And we are definitely trading up or trading down in the draft. And I believe that's the motherfucker that's coming in to take this job. That's something he's going to have to explain and to get that job. You know what I'm saying? Like, we either trading back to have more more fucking assets, building up with, getting our defense more bulkier, more offensive linemen, so on and so forth. Or we're trading up to get your boy Lawrence, man, which I'm happy with either way. I would love to see, Lawrence connecting the North and the South. And if we trade back, I would love to see more pieces. And maybe fucking send Bridgewater on that deal with trading back or trading up, whatever it may be. And, you know what I'm saying? So it can make the deal worth it for us in the long run. And I feel like I'm saying, the motherfucker that's coming in, which I have a couple of names. I really like Cody mentioned, like Dan Morgan, you know what I'm saying? That'd be gangster. He's you know what I'm saying? Get your boy Luke, all nice and primed up and see how his future could be. And it could really make a nice, successful future for us.
Yeah,
all right, y'all.
Call.
Follows up, man. Carolina. From the West.
Great call there. Let's keep going.
Hey, this is Kevin from Charleston. I love this move, firing Hurney. And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to give you some history before I go to the present. All right? Like, before, we all know about the D'Angelo Williams Jonathan Stewart contracts, but even before that, remember in 2008, Jake Delhomme was coming back after Tommy John surgery, and he was horrible that year. Luckily, our running game and defense got us to our best franchise record that year, which was 12-4. He had 15 touchdowns, 13 interceptions that year. And we played the Cardinals in the playoffs, which was my first game at a Panthers game. And he threw 5 interceptions and 1 fumble. Mm-hmm. And we got blown out by a shitty, they got to the Super Bowl, but their record wasn't good that year, Cardinals team. And what did Marty Hurney do? He signed we signed Jake Delhomme, 34, for $42.5 million, $20 million guaranteed over 5 years. The next year, Jake Delhomme only played 11 games, put on injury reserve, and threw 8 touchdowns and 18 interceptions. And the next year, we didn't have any quarterbacks. Wasted Steve Smith again. Invented the Wildcat because we had no fucking quarterbacks because Marty Hurney didn't bring anybody in. And then let's go on to John Beeson and his contract. John Beeson was great, but John Beeson in 2011 was paid the highest middle linebacker in NFL history, $50 million, 5 years, $25 million guaranteed. That first game that year, he was hurt. That's it. He only played 1 game that year after getting the contract. Next year, he played 4 games and was replaced by Luke Kuechly, middle linebacker, and then eventually Chase Blackman. Third year that year, 3 games, traded to the Giants for a 7th rounder. All right, and then you get the Williams and Stewart contract. Fast forward this year, might not sign Moulton or Samuel, cutting the Cam Newton on a 1-year deal, signing Teddy Bridgewater to 3 years, $63 million, $33 million guaranteed, $15 million signing bonus, signing Christian McCaffrey to the highest paid running back, only 4 games this year, and, people like to say, oh, he's great at picking first-round picks or whatever. Listen, Chris Rock had a great bit. Hey, this is Kevin again. I got cut off. But I was going to say about, the first-round picks. Like, Chris Rock had a great bit where he says, I take care of my kids. I ain't never been in jail. It's like, yeah, you're supposed to, you low expectation motherfucker. Like, you're supposed to hit on your first-round picks. They're first-round picks. It's literally the easiest pick to make. Like, people, like, oh, you got to give them credit for picking Cam Newton. Are we literally going to give the Jaguars and the Jets credit for picking Trevor Lawrence? No. We're going to be like, fucking right, you should have. I just think Hurney was extremely overrated. Looking at these contracts over the year, I mean, come on.
I think
that's all I got to say.
Great call. Fantastic call. I don't think Hurney was I don't think overrated is the right terminology because no one ever rated him highly. They just said this to people who said he was garbage. Like, hold up. Wait a minute. It's kind of like the Rivera talk. Think about this, the level that people were turning on Ron Rivera, it might be the right time to part. That's a different story, but look at what he's not a bad coach. Mm-hmm. Might not be the best coach, but he's not horrible. It's just a big deal.
It was beneficial for both parties to move on.
Yes.
It was beneficial for us, and it was beneficial for Ron.
It's time to move on from Marty Hurney, and we haven't heard from you, CK. What are your thoughts about this?
The move. I feel like CK was one of the more vocal defenders of Marty Hurney.
I think it's you've got to look at it from the perspective of number one. Even last week, I said I wouldn't be upset if he's fired. Right? I'd be highly concerned, with the trajectory of the franchise, especially in my opinion, if the top guy on the list of David Tepper's, looking, is the guy who's at the front office of the New England Patriots. Not super stoked about the idea of bringing somebody from there, but, especially since we know how they handle, drafts is not necessarily great. But when we let him go, honestly, I liked the way that Tepper explained it. He said, listen, we needed him to stay here for 1 more year. We needed to learn more from him because I know people think that because I came from the Pittsburgh Steelers that I had all this knowledge of the organization, but I didn't. I needed to learn. And he said, sometimes the student needs to graduate. And that's what happened. I think he realized that what he was getting from Marty Hurney was coming to a dead end. And maybe he needs to start really kind of pushing for a vision that is his own. Just like letting go of Ron Rivera. He could have kept Ron Rivera. And I don't think anybody in the media or anywhere else would have blamed him for keeping Ron Rivera, because to be fair, Ron Rivera's career was ruined by Cam Newton's injuries, at least with the Carolina Panthers.
I disagree. So I saw Kevin Gray said Ron Rivera was never the problem. He never had a franchise quarterback after 2015. I think that Ron Rivera brings a certain set of qualities to your program that are beneficial. That are beneficial, right?
100%.
Is that if you're having and think about this, is that Ron Rivera, not only did he have to do that, like have an injured quarterback, he had an owner scandal. He had GMs coming in and out. He had Greg Hardy. He had like Josh Norman. And Ron Rivera went up there and took the bullets for everything is Jerry Richardson and the feet touching and the sexual harassment. Ron Rivera, face of the organization. Greg Hardy, drugs and guns and beating up his girlfriend and this and that at a time where domestic violence was the biggest dang thing in the NFL. Think about this, is the domestic violence moment in the NFL was almost as big as Black Lives Matters is. Right? I mean, like, it was it was an incredible watershed moment. And Ron Rivera, just took it. So he brings those things. He brings a mentality of a team that can win with a defense. He did a lot for Carolina. Best coach in Carolina's history. And we had the most success, really, in the last decade in our history. And on top of that is, I think Ron Rivera is bringing his talents to an organization that was desperately in need of him. And a perfect fit for him. And I saw someone say that he's building something special in Washington. I don't know if he's building something special. I think what he's doing is saving an organization from the depths of despair when it comes to the NFL. The logo change, the this and that. He's a minority. It all fits. A minority candidate, coach, a defense, a guy that can win with Dwayne Haskins or damn Kyle Allen or whatever it is, because that's the type of team he wants, man.
But
That's the type of, he will roll in the mud with you, dude. He's a badass. He's a badass. But
he is, but I'm also not down for this revisionist history thing too. Like, he is all those things. And he did dodge a whole lot of bullets, and he put on the tough face at tough times in this organization. But all of the shit that we were saying about him was very real criticisms of him that he never changed. And by the way, to the guy who said in the chat that he never had a franchise quarterback after 2016,
2017.
One, that was he had a whole bunch of injuries that were not his problem. And number two, if Ron Rivera didn't think that he had a franchise quarterback, is that not incumbent upon him in some way, shape, or form to point that out to ownership or anyone else and say that was a problem?
Excellent point.
Yeah,
look, is that my point is not that, and I want to caution what I'm saying is this, is that I just gave you all the good points about Ron Rivera.
Right.
There are negatives, not being able to cultivate young talent, not being effective in, the draft, and there's a lot of different things that are going on. But his type of team is what Washington is. He needs a team that's trying to back into the playoffs. And it's just it was time for us to turn the new page. I think it was the right time. And I think this is that regardless of whether Marty Hurney's good, bad, or indifferent, the worst, the best, or whatever, it's time to turn the page to the next phase of the Carolina Panthers. Let's keep going through with the calls.
C3 fam, Panther Nation, it's your boy Josh from Mass.
What's up, Josh?
Originally intended to have a call full of piss and vinegar after watching Saturday night's game. But then yesterday happened and kind of softened things out there.
Hard to not be happy, huh, Josh?
We lost one of the all-time great, not just Panthers, but one of the all-time great football players. I think that there's at least a passing remembrance, especially for those of us who remember the early years of this team. Man was a big part of our team's second-year push to an NFC championship, one that we lost. But still, to get there in year two was impressive. And Kevin Green as a player was nothing short of impressive himself. So just wanted to make sure I pay respect to that. But yeah, no, I think Saturday night it was on display for everybody to see a lot of what a lot of us have been talking about. I don't really understand anybody who's still hanging on to Teddy, and there's a few. They're dying out in numbers, but there's still a few hanging on to the thought.
Really? Yes, there are. Yes, there are. Go to Twitter. Yes, there are.
Something more than a bridge. To them, I don't know what to say.
That's why I think I'm confused why there's anybody that exists.
I think that's, that, and you look at the remarks that Tepper himself has had. And,
which I think are very glaring about what we're doing in the draft.
He actually understands the football side of things a little more than maybe a lot of us gave him credit for. He certainly recognizes the positions of need, and we can't forget this is a man who's done bold things throughout his life to get to where he is. And if you think he won't do something wild on draft night, if he won't go for a GM who will do those kind of things, I think you're sorely mistaken. If anybody knows when to hold your cards close and when to give people peeks and things like that, I think it's Tepper. We ripping some of these Band-Aids off over the last year and a half have been rough. Oh, and I'm out of time.
All right, here's the next part of his call, and Kevin Costner will not be our GM.
Hey guys, Josh from Mass again, and I really again back to Tepper. I don't think he's afraid to do the things that he needs to do. Especially, like I said, especially after hearing what he said in the little web interview there, whatever the hell you want to call that. Yeah, I think it's obvious what the points of need are on this team. And I think now more than ever, it is very clear to a lot of people that getting a quarterback in the draft is a must-do. I get it. The lines need to be solidified really on both sides of the ball. If you think about it, when you look at KK's probably done after this year. At least done as a Panther. That's going to need to be shored up. The O-line really needs it, and I just don't see us not taking a quarterback at the beginning of it all. I think we have to, and then grab pieces that we hope can be eventual starters on the offensive line.
Oh my God!
But nothing more than their potential healthy bodies to get in there when Greg Little inevitably fails us again. But I will say our defense did look pretty good in that second half, didn't it? Holding the Green Bay Packers to 3 points at home, no less. I mean, I get it. COVID year, home games aren't as big of a deal, but yeah, it's really hard to be disappointed with that defense. Just the only real disappointment on the defense is Brian Burns getting snubbed for the Pro Bowl, but that is what it is, And I kind of expect it to just be something to light a fire under, not just him, but the whole defense's ass. Especially with Jeremy Chin going out there and saying, in his opinion, there's not a better DE in the NFC than Brian Burns. And I tend to agree. I mean, Tony said it before. It takes 3 years for DNs to usually come around and start being a force. And this dude's in his second year, and he's already becoming what we really thought he could be. So I guess that's really it. Unfortunately for everybody who wanted piss and vinegar and drunk Josh, you didn't get it. But hey, maybe this Sunday post game, when I can call in right after a game and I'm still drunk, that'll work out.
All right, thanks, Josh, man. Thanks. Even though we got middle road Josh there making too much sense. Making too much sense there.
I appreciate Josh from Mass whenever he calls in, no matter what state he calls in, man. That's a C3 Panther faithful right there.
Absolutely. Can I ask a question? Did you guys already address the statements David Tepper made about their plans in the draft?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, we talked about it.
Kinda, we danced around it.
Where he said it's glaringly obvious what we need.
Yeah, he did say that, and then he started mentioning
that was hilarious.
corners, defensive backfields.
Yeah. He was
then
dancing around the one
whole
reason.
metaphor. No, he used the entire metaphor about a bad contract, basically. He was talking about Marty Hurney, and the entire metaphor was built, or analogy was built to a Teddy Bridgewater. Look, is that I do think Tepper is very smart. I think that he is thinking. I think he has a way to see a kind of above the forest. While we're trying to pick the forest out from the trees, he can pick the forest out from the landscape entirely. I do believe that. I mean, I just don't believe that necessarily that makes him a savant in every case whatsoever. But he's made a lot of good decisions here. And I think this is that if anybody knows something, it's probably people who bet on stocks and this and that, that sometimes you got to cut bait even if it's a loss. And maybe that's, is that here at the end of the day maybe Marty Hurney was a patsy when it comes to the Teddy Bridgewater thing. Maybe this, but is that you know when to cut bait. And look, is that there are no Teddy Bridgewater supporters around anymore. And there shouldn't be. Yep. And if they are, then they got to understand this, is that it would take it. If you think that Cody's deal to trade for Trevor Lawrence requires for everything to go right? Like, I mean, everything. Trevor Lawrence to be transcendent, you to kill the draft, you to negotiate free agency, you to, equally winning with Teddy Bridgewater requires equally everything to go right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just very simple. And we've seen it, is that Teddy Bridgewater alone has not elevated the Carolina Panthers. If I asked you this, actually, what has been the most, if I said this, has the defense been like pleasantly surprising or dismal this year? What would you say?
Pleasantly surprising.
All right.
The former.
Yeah, is the offensive line pleasantly surprising or dismal?
Pleasantly surprising.
Yeah, maybe the worst case you could say is middle of the road, right?
Yeah, there have been
middle of the road.
Some bad games.
Coaching staff, dismal, pleasantly surprising, or dismal?
Pleasantly surprising.
Yeah. And so
think of the roster. Think of the roster.
Exactly. Right. The only one where you say you don't pick pleasantly surprising is Teddy Bridgewater.
You guys are kind of making the point of my trade, though.
Okay.
Is that
all right? No, we're not going back to that. We're going through the calls.
Hey guys, long time listener, and I just want to get a little sentimental. I just want to say, Tony, I'm proud of you. I've watched you, for the last 5 years, and you've just grown so much as a podcast host. You're doing great.
Thank you.
Just want you to keep it up. I miss Joey and Mel. Those are great times. Cody and the mailman, they're great. The other guy's a narcissist and fucking dickhead, but it is what it is. But you guys are overall doing great. Just want to say thanks.
Ouch.
Wait, who was he talking about? Wait, who did he call a dickhead?
I'm confused because there's two Codys.
Who's a narcissist?
It's me or Cody. Like, it's one of the two.
It's Cody.
I mean, I'm definitely a dickhead and a narcissist, so I'll take that if people fucking want to put that on me.
Mailman.
I'm trying to figure out who he was talking about.
I don't know. Here, you know what? I don't care who he was talking about. Did you hear those compliments he gave me? I love this guy. Next call.
What's up, C3? It's Run DMC Lovato.
Tyler, what's up?
I know you guys are going to be talking a lot about Marty Hurney tonight.
Yeah.
So I wanted to give my 2 cents. Marty Hurney's been fired, and I feel indifferent on it. I think he was an okay GM. I know Cody hates him, but I feel like he was okay, but he wasn't great. But he wasn't terrible. I'm actually pretty scared for the future, to be honest, because we have to nail this next GM. I'm really worried because this draft's coming up, and I know I just listened to David Tepper's interview. He pretty much said, Teddy Bridgewater, he's not a franchise quarterback. Basically,
say it with your chest, bro.
He didn't say those words.
Say it with your chest, bro.
You can tell that he knows the situation, and I know that we're not gonna. Teddy Bridgewater's not the future, and David Tepper pretty much said it. So this next GM is going to have to draft a quarterback, and I just have a horrible feeling. You never know. I just feel like this next GM, if this next GM drafts a Kyle Trask or a Mac Jones, I'm going to be fucking done. I'm so terrified of that.
I don't see him doing that.
That this next GM is going to try to be cute and draft a white pocket quarterback who's just trash. I have a feeling that the next GM will not want to draft a quarterback like Trey Lance from North Dakota State because he doesn't have much film, and he's kind of a risky pick. Because if Trey Lance and Justin Fields do not fall to us, or say someone trades in front of us and both of those are off the board, the only quarterback left, in my opinion, that's worth a damn is Trey Lance, and I have a feeling that we won't pick Trey Lance. We'll pick one of those shitty-ass Mac Jones or Kyle Trask quarterbacks, and I'm terrified of that.
We can trade back and get that, though.
Exactly.
I think it's time for y'all to do some draft.
That's what I'm saying, bro.
Like scouting reports on this podcast, because I want to educate Tony and the other Cody
so many shots
about these quarterbacks, and you need to see for yourselves and evaluate what you think, because I know for a fact Mac Jones and Kyle Trask are just trash. Okay, they're going to be Kirk Cousins at best. That's their ceiling. So give me your thoughts on that. Are you guys excited? And if I had to put money on it, I'm going to say we're going to get Kevin Colbert from the Steelers. We're going to pull him away. I wouldn't be mad at that. Who do you guys think we're going to get?
Oh,
I think it's a crapshoot at this point.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many names floating around. I know this is strange, but I could almost feel like Tepper brings in a duo. He brings in a football GM and a president, like out of fucking Wall Street.
He's already got the president. Like he's already got some.
Yeah,
Okay. So I think honestly the guy he brings in is going to be a front office. Just like look at the
I think he's going to be 30 something, dude. I don't think he's going to be an old hat. He's already said we're not getting one of those stupid search committees, or not search committees. These advisory where they hire where they get Tony Dungy and all these guys to meet 4 or 5 times to tell this rich guy what they think. Is Tepper and Rule are making this decision. This could be like, and you know what? This is the way it should be. I think if you're going to interview for this position, it should be Tepper. It should be that president who the president mentioned. I think he used to be president of a football, like a soccer team, right?
Soccer club,
football. And like you have him, you have Matt Rule, and it's a 3-panel thing. And it's like this. It's, you got 2 people in there. You got one person that knows football and what he wants to do. You got one guy that knows what's business and he wants to do. And then you got this other president guy who knows whatever he knows. And they make the decision. Why do you need Tony Dungy to tell you?
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a relic. It's a relic.
Bro.
I think that Tepper is
bro.
trying to advance into the future. So I don't think he wants a GM like Jeff Ireland, or I don't think he wants even those aren't the worst options. I think he's going to pull somebody out that I don't know, that we might not even be thinking of.
I hope not, man.
Why?
Like,
why?
This shit doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. If there's a list of top general managers that have proven their weight in some capacity, some way, shape, or form,
future thinking GM. He doesn't want a guy that won in the 90s or the early 2000s. He wants a guy that's going to win in the next generation of football. He wants a guy that's
that's how you need to think, bro.
He doesn't want Plato. He wants Aristotle.
Yeah, then my ass should fucking.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, well, that's all I'm saying. I just don't know if it's going to be one of these guys that is so easy. Like, I don't think it's a usual suspects list. That's all I'm saying. All right, let's go to the next call.
What's going on, C3 Nation? It's your boy Jay Anderson hitting y'all up. Hope y'all being safe. Get right to it, man. Marty Hurney, gone. You know, hey, one thing I'll say this is that, Marty Hurney is a Panther legend. I mean, even though, he is a Panther legend with all the, the good first round picks that he draw in and stuff like that. So, give him credit is due. But it was time to make a change, and it was time to make a change. Since even when we fired Dave Gettleman, Marty Hurney should have never been brought back in. It was just, as soon as he came in as an intern, I was like, oh Lord, here we go. Not this again. So, I mean, he should have been gone last year and stuff like that. If you wanted to, a lot of this is Tepper. I mean, Tepper need to get his mind right. He should have got his mind right last year. It's like, if you're going to do away with the coach, you should do away with the GM. Just like, there's a
lot of fear involved now.
Other franchises would do. We could have been had our guy. We could have, we could have had Eric B in here. We could have had Stefanski in here. We could have had as the coaches, but we could have had Andrew Berry or somebody in here, a good GM. And everything is basically on Tepper now. I mean, everything is on him because he got to pick the right GM. I mean, he's siding with saying Matt Rule gonna look for it's you two. It's you, dude. Like, this is your team. Like, you bought this team. You want to change this franchise? You want to make this a winning coach? You got to select the guy. And you got to select the guy. You got to select the rightful guy. A GM that's going to turn this franchise around and put this franchise into a winning culture. So everything is on Tepper. Everything's been on Tepper since he came in here. The time he released Cam so badly, it was on him. I know people gonna put it on Marty, but for me, I put it on Tepper. So hopefully he get his ass up and do something. All right, man. Y'all.
That's fair. I think when it comes to Tepper and CK, you alluded to some of the comments he made in his interview. He talked about a different type of structure. Where it wasn't GM to coach, owner, GM, coach, but where those guys are working diligently all the time together as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And what we have learned about this is that Tepper's fingerprints are all over this organization. So he might not be rash like a Jerry Jones or as bombastic as a Jerry Jones or as ridiculous as who's the Snyder for like a dumbass like
over in Washington. Yeah.
But
Snyder.
Tepper
Yes,
is
sir.
not a silent partner in this by any means. And he wants an office where where everybody walks past everybody's office, and at the end of the day, the buck stops at his. That's what he wants. And that's not a terrible way of looking at it.
He's a businessman. That's how it should be in his mind because he's a businessman.
Yeah, is that the coach needs to be accountable to the GM needs to be accountable to the coach, and both need to be accountable to the owner. So I like it. I like this new structure
that he's trying to invent or at least crystallize, or that's not the right word, galvanize in Carolina. We'll just see how it works, or if, how does somebody with all that money take adversity at this point in his career. I'm sure he doesn't like losing anymore. Next call.
What's up, fellas? This is Zach from Greensboro.
What's up, Zach?
We got rid of Marty Hurney. It's interesting. I mean, I've been on the train that we need to get rid of him. Kind of like y'all been talking about for the past few weeks. My biggest concern is exactly who we're going to get to replace him. I know they sent out a list of who they're interviewing or whatever. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, and y'all may have already covered it by the time I call in on who you think they'll hire or who you would want them to hire. But personally, I'm not really sure. But I don't know. It's just interesting, and at this point, kind of just hope we lose out the season. And I've said that before, just because I'd like to get a better draft pick, but at the same time, it's tough to say because tuning in every game day and seeing us lose is getting old. It's like I believe Chuck from Elizabeth City said.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah, you might want the extra draft pick. But,
I've had a great season. This season's been better to me than the last 2 seasons.
Saturday, or Monday or Thursday, I guess. It don't matter how bad your team is, you still want to see those dudes win. So, yeah, I'm not really sure if I had a question or a point, but I don't know. I hope that we make an upgrade at GM, and I hope that.
Thanks for the call, man. Here, Cody, I'm going to pass the mic to you. Do you remember your list that we went through? Because I still got them loaded up. Do you remember your list?
I still got the list, baby.
Let's start. Let's go from 5 to 1 real quick. Number 1 pick, not the number 5 pick for GM replacement. Coming from New Orleans.
Yeah, and honestly, I think I might have had him too low. I really like Jeff Ireland, the guy from New Orleans. I even had this written right here. Under Loomis's guidance, Ireland has thrived and is largely credited for the defensive transformation that the Saints have undergone via the draft over the last 4 years. In 2017 alone, Ireland landed 4 starters in Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, and Alvin Kamara. That's a damn good draft that they are still
who's that big-ass D tackle they lost?
Yeah.
Who's that big-ass D tackle they lost last year that was awesome? Or maybe it was this year. It was this year, I think.
Yeah. Not Andrews Pete.
Not defensive side of the ball. Like, he was supposed to be real good, and he got hurt early on, and I think they ended up trading for a defensive tackle. God, he was like...
Sheldon Rankins?
Yes, Rankins.
But he's still on the team.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that's part of that defense, despite him not being contributing because he's hurt. That's still a success story to that defense, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so Ireland, then next. Who is next?
I had Kevin Colbert, and this was kind of a pipe dream because he.
This is what a lot of people think, right? Coming from, and there's another name linked in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, that one you'd have to tell me. I don't have it off the top of my head, but Kevin Colbert. He's overseen 2 Super Bowl championship winning teams, and during his run in Pittsburgh, the Steelers have also suffered just 1 losing season in that time.
All right, who's next?
Yeah, this is another guy I'm really high on. It's Mike Borgonzi. Borgonzi helped to build the Chiefs into a Super Bowl champion a few years ago. He's part of a front office that helped to revamp Kansas City's defense in 2019 into one that finished 7 in both total points allowed and points allowed per game, 308 total points and 19.3 points per game. This came after the Chiefs' defense in 2018 finished 24th in the same 2 categories.
Yeah, all right, next.
Peters.
Peters.
Adam Peters. Whatever I had written up must have
all right.
been.
Okay, but what here? The number 1.
Yeah, and I've been mentioning this for a while now. I even was
Dude,
thinking
we were
about
thinking
him
about
the
this
first time.
last time when
Yeah.
Gettleman was getting fired. We were floating this name out there.
And honestly, I don't know why you don't hear this name more often. I really don't understand. Every time there's a GM job that comes open, I mean, he is in the position that gets hired to be a football GM. He's a director of pro football personnel. He was that for the Seattle Seahawks, and then he moved to Buffalo and started to do it for the Bills. He has a connection with the Carolina Panthers. I would love for him to be a part of this football team. He's done a tremendous job in Seattle. They're in the playoffs every year. And look at what Buffalo is doing, man. That's the one of the best teams in the AFC. If
All
the
right.
Kansas City Chiefs don't exist, the Bills are the best team in the AFC.
Next call.
What it do, boys?
What you do?
It's your boy Mike, aka Supreme Leaders. Hope you guys are doing well. I'll start off with a big Merry Christmas. Big Merry Christmas to all you filthy animals. Enjoy the holidays. So guys, here we are, sitting at the number 4 pick in the draft. Oh boy. With the Bengals winning yesterday, there's potential, okay, for a top 3 pick. Okay. The third pick is now our ceiling. So right now, you know,
Not according to Cody.
I was a Packers fan last week. I'm a football team fan this week. That sounds so funny saying it. And I am a Saints fan in 2 weeks. Hold on.
Yeah, same. I
That makes me
understand,
sick
buddy.
saying that. Cody.
Yeah, man.
Got your Christmas present early, buddy. I bet Doc from Back to the Future came roaring through that building in the DeLorean and was like, Marty, you can't go in there. You won't come back. I don't have another flux capacitor to bring you back. I was like, nah, bro, I gotta go in. He called me in, and that was that. So, hopefully we can get a good man in here. He brought in some good players, so I'll give him that. He just can't sign contracts. So let me float this out to y'all. Trey Lance or Zach Wilson? Preferably Zach Wilson. I saw his tape. I saw Trey Lance's tape, and reminds me kind of a Lamar Jackson type, but I'd rather have Zach Wilson. Would you be open to the idea of trading back? And now, mind you, we can easily get out of Teddy Bridgewater's contract in year 3 with only a $5 million dead cap hit. Think about that. But as much as I want Zach Wilson, how do you feel about the option of trading back to somebody who wants one of those quarterbacks and gathering a bunch of picks? Hey, we got the potential of 4 top quarterbacks going with the first 4 picks. So,
Jason, let's open with you.
Oh man, so
Trading back and Trey Lance, right?
I gotta watch the combine, like I said earlier, man. I'm so torn. I don't know if I want him. I don't know if they should go for what's his name. So either Wilson, Lance, or is that what he was really asking?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Thoughts on trading back potentially? Don't want to lose your moment. It sounds like
That's the if Sewell is available, I'd go for Sewell.
Okay.
That's just me. I feel like that's that generational talent that Cody was referring to with Trevor Lawrence. I feel like that's how Sewell is with the tackle position. That's just me, though.
So then going into next season, what do we do about quarterback? If we take Penei Sewell or anyone else that Panther, the three names I hear the most outside of a quarterback are Penei Sewell. I hear Patrick Surtain, the corner from Alabama,
right?
And I hear Michael Parsons.
Oh my God! If we take a damn linebacker,
and they're all studs.
Oh, I was telling you, every
they're all
Tuesday,
studs.
Different rule for a different player
No,
that you don't.
I'm just saying this is that if you need a quarter, look, is that I'm with you on this. If we didn't, we should have taken a damn tackle when we had a quarterback. We should have taken these players when we had a quarterback. So I'm not entertaining the tight end shit. I will not listen to that stupid shit about tight end and the top 15. No, I don't want to hear it. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is this, is that and I understand Devin White is a gorgeous football player, but even he has had, even people are coming in and talking about his limitations on this show, right? About pass coverage and whatever it is, this and that. Is my point is this, is that we're not, if you ain't taking, you need, until the quarterback's fixed, nothing is fixed. So, look, we had a top 8 pick. We could have picked a left tackle. We had a top 8 pick. We could have picked a corner. We had a top 8 pick. We had all these damn picks. You pick, you know what I'm saying? And we didn't. So, I'm sorry. That window's just passed. That's why I'm saying this, is that if we don't get a quarterback, if we don't trade back into the first and get a quarterback, that's the only way, or a left tackle. Other than that, I don't even want to hear it. I don't even want to hear it. And maybe the corner. Maybe the corner. Maybe the corner. At this
point right now at number 4, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Next call.
I do want to say moving back is only worth it if somehow, in my opinion, if we were able to grab Trey Lance and we're able to move back in order to do it, that would be, in my opinion, really cool. If we do our due diligence on Trey Lance and we like him a lot of people don't know this.
Then you get the corner and you get Lance.
And a tackle and maybe a fucking another running back. I want to point this out. Trey Lance out last season for the Buffalo or the Bison, whatever the hell they are, North Dakota State. Man threw 42 touchdowns and 9 rushing touchdowns or something crazy like that, and didn't throw a single interception. Not one. So the guy is a legitimate talent. A lot of people want to bring him down because he played this one-off game. It was literally one game against one opponent. Didn't have a season to prepare for. Didn't have the proper time. And now all of a sudden people think different of Trey Lance. It's an unfair evaluation. I really like Trey Lance, but I have no doubt that at this point in time, Zach Wilson is going to be drafted ahead of Justin Fields, unless Justin Fields does something crazy against Clemson.
Well, and the combine would tell us, and this is just one more to the trade back talk, is we had our opportunities to trade back the last 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
Is that's when we needed to do it. Yeah, is that we should have done it last year if that's what we're going to do. I just feel like this is that, and I do understand there's not a lot of tape, according to Chase Ebert, on Trey Lance. There's just not enough tape to draft that high. I'm not saying I'm agreeing with that.
There's not enough tape on Wilson either.
No, I'm not. Yeah, is that those are two very valid concerns. And what I would say is look at Mitchell Trubisky. And I would also not put Mitchell Trubisky in the same class as Zach Wilson. I wouldn't even compare the two. I saw that dude play. He wasn't that good. Yeah, not Zach Wilson, Trubisky. You know what I'm saying? And so they traded up and this and that. But I think this is at 4 right now. We had our chances to make a difference at left tackle and corner before. Sorry, we missed it. Now it's time to get the quarterback. Next call.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's Nick from up here in Mass. So,
Nick?
First thing I wanted to comment about the game, okay? They were playing in Lambeau. Lambeau is freezing cold. As somebody who lives up in Mass, as well as many others, that listen and shit, it gets pretty cold in the winter. And like Tony, I know I sent you the video last year of me working on the solar field. out on the side of a mountain. Like, you have to get accustomed to it. And working out in it, you know, if you aren't used to it, it definitely puts wear and tear on your body in the aspect that, you know, your body struggles to try to deal with the cold. You know, so that definitely gives the Packers an advantage. No doubt about it. Okay. Teddy looked atrocious. Okay. But that's not any different. You know, and I don't fault him necessarily for, you know, trying to get the ball up and over. I mean, me personally, that's not what I would have done. You know, but that could have happened to anybody. And he should have had better control over the football. But when your arms are outstretched like that, you know, you can't put as much pressure on the ball to keep it still as if the ball was up against your body. So it's understandable to see that knocked out, and that's not the play call I would have gone with. But at the same time, I don't really hold it against him. You know, and that brings me to another part. It's, as much as I can't stand Teddy Bridgewater, I'm trying to be open about it. You know, because when you dislike somebody or you can't stand them, it's so much easier to just hop on them and talk smack and put them down and everything like that. You know, we all love Cam. Well, anybody who listens to the show really loves Cam except for a few, but it's just, Teddy's never going to be a Cam. We all know that. Okay? And I'm trying to be open with it, but at the same time, he makes so many mistakes, and he's so inaccurate. You know, those awesome throws that you see that our wide receivers catch, how many of them are actually placed where they need to be placed? But then you look at that game, that Thursday night game with the Raiders, you know, and they had their backup quarterback in, and the dude was throwing dimes, man. You know, he was hitting his receiver right on the edge of the field, you know, in the perfect spot so that way the defenders couldn't get the ball and stuff like that. And I just don't think Teddy could ever make a throw like that.
No,
at least not on purpose.
Can't.
Ding, ding, ding,
know,
ding, 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 ding,
to end the
ding,
game,
ding,
that ball was
ding.
severely underthrown. And he should have made that.
Even
like,
the DJ ball. And I'm glad CK's here for this.
Should not have
That DJ ball
underthrown
was
that ball.
awful. I'll
And
tell y'all
he
that right
is
now. I agree with
notorious
you.
for
That DJ ball
underthrowing
was terrible.
goddamn football. And
All right, so the best football, his deepest throw of the game, CK, was to DJ Moore down the sideline, and it was a big play for us, right? A needed play. And yes, was I happy that it connected? Correct. But you lead DJ, and he beats all those guys there.
Yeah, I've been saying it for
months.
You know, really months.
It's been 2 months now. You've been saying.
It was a spec catch. That's what it was. It was a spectacular catch because the man can't put the ball in places where it needs to be, especially deep.
Yeah, I mean, and you're like I said. I mean, it's I'm just thankful DJ's playing even after Teddy almost took him out for the season by out just poorly throwing the ball anyway. You shouldn't that's the problem. So, for instance, I'll go back to Kelvin Benjamin, right? Kelvin Benjamin wasn't a good receiver. The benefit to Kelvin Benjamin, he was great at catching contested passes because guess what? That was the only separation he ever got was no
his
separation.
Arms.
Yeah. And so Cam Newton would throw it to him, not just because not because Cam Newton was a bad quarterback, but because we had no other receivers, right? And so Kelvin Benjamin had an incredible looking year because he was catching these, like if you go back and look at the highlights, Kelvin Benjamin looked like a beast catching balls, like mossing people and all that. But it's because he couldn't do what other receivers are able to do and get separation. Now we have an opposite situation. Now we have a quarterback that can't get the ball where it needs to go and receivers that can get separation all day and still can't get the ball where they need to have it. They have to make acrobatic catches to make it look like they're just this incredible receiver, which they may be, but they haven't been given an opportunity to actually show it on a stat sheet because Teddy Bridgewater can't get the ball out to him in stride. I have yet to see a pass in stride deep down the field past 20 yards. Yet to see that.
Never. You haven't seen one of them. And here is the thing. I went on Pirate Radio 1250 every Friday. I go on there. And my buddy, he's a Washington football team fan. He said, you're in a position that I'm usually at in this point in the season where you're trying to find a reason to watch and cheer. You know, and he said, we actually are backing it into the play. So he said, what, is there any chance you win against Green Bay? Like, what do you, I said, no, I mean, yes, there's a chance on any given Sunday that somebody, that something happens. But what I thought was ready to happen was that Aaron Rodgers, which he did not have the day that I expected, like Jason said as well, but would be the ultimate juxtaposition of what we were trying to show, or what we've been saying. And that is, here's Teddy, dink and dunk Teddy, who can't do certain things. And here's the opposite. Cam was somewhere in between. Cam could physically do those things and some things that nobody else could do. But Cam did not anticipate. I always said it was kind of a sight thrower. Like, he needed to see the guy open before he threw it. Right? Is that he waited and waited until, all right, now he's open and I will get it to him like a rocket ship, which works a lot of times. Teddy Bridgewater doesn't have the ability, the physical ability to throw the ball at an NFL level. I'm sorry. It's just not there, and it's just more and more apparent. Those balls, half of the completed passes were just, they look so slow getting there. They look like, I just thought, man, if they should be picked off. It was, it showed exactly Teddy is not only is who he thought he was, he may be worse.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's definitely worse than what I thought he was.
Well,
like when he was first signed.
But I kind of feel like it's not even that he's worse. It's just you're seeing what happens when he has to elevate the team. And
it's
he
not
isn't
that he's
able
worse,
to do
Cody,
so.
is that we even some of the most pessimistic people overestimated how high the ceiling was. That's why it's not that he's worse. It's just like, gosh, this is all it can be. Seriously? I thought it could be a little bit better than this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought he would be a little bit better of
thank you.
Just a little bit better. Not a lot, but I mean, like, he ain't throwing touchdowns, he ain't throwing it down the field. He is worse than I expected. And that's for somebody that was unhappy he was coming. So I was not enthused he was coming here, and he's even worse.
So, like, the main comparison that people make is Alex Smith, right?
Yeah, we call him the Black Alex Smith, and he's not even that good.
But he's not even as good as prime Alex Smith.
Yeah,
Alex
he's not
Smith
even close, to be honest.
Do y'all remember that Saints game? That big touchdown to Vernon Davis?
What? With who? Oh, it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago? Is that what?
It was a little bit longer.
Before the injury?
I want to say
the injury? Was it before the
Alex pre-injury? This is way pre-injury. Okay. But was it? I want to say it was.
He actually started pushing the ball downfield more later in his career. And I think that when Andy Reid got a hold of him in Kansas City, it helped a little bit. And he became less conservative. Teddy has become more conservative throughout the season. And actually, I wouldn't even say he's been more conservative. It just turns out he can't throw it past 20.
Can't throw it past 20.
All right, let's keep going. We got a couple of calls. Let's power through and get the hell out of here.
Okay, so part three, because I forgot 2 points. One, okay, anybody who, hates on Curtis Samuel for this past game, okay, it was cold as hell, okay?
Oh,
it's hard
he
to
did
get
have
the ball
a
when
down
it's cold.
game
It's hard to do anything when it's cold. If you've never been outside whenever it is freezing cold, like 20 degrees out, and try to do anything, even with gloves on, you're going to have a hard time.
At this point,
okay? It's just going to happen, right?
Okay.
I don't want to hear anybody disagree with me.
It wasn't even that cold out
now, I mean, it's warranted to give him a little smack for it, but don't hate on the man.
Yeah, we're not going to hate on him. It was his worst game of the year.
Or that third down throw at the end of the game.
But he won't.
That ball was not put where it should have been put. Okay?
I wonder why.
It needed to be a foot to the left. Okay? If it was a foot to the left, Curtis Samuel would have caught that. If you look at the way that Curtis Samuel and any of the receivers have to bend in order to make the catches that Teddy throws, it's ridiculous. Okay? The fact that they're flexible enough to even be able to catch throws like that is astonishing. Because I can tell you right now, I wouldn't be. You know, I'm a little bit of a bigger dude, and I wouldn't be able to. So, I don't know about you guys. But the other thing is, too, who do you guys think has been quietly having the year of their life? Okay? My money's on F.A. F.A. pulled a sack on Aaron Rodgers. F.A. has made himself known in just about every game that I've watched. And it's very subtle. Because Brian Burns, on the other end, obviously he's going to get more attention because that's just who Brian Burns is. But F.A. has been quietly having a year. At least that's what I think.
Yeah,
let me know what you guys think as well.
You know what is that he has been a needed piece, particularly since Stephen Weatherly is basically non-existent on the team. You know what I'm saying? I mean, now he's on IR. His FA turned out to be very important. Good call right there.
Hey, fellas, Jason from Colorado. I don't know if you're doing the post-game show because it's really late out there. I don't blame you if you're passing on this week, but I gotta say I'm pretty happy with the way that this turned out. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people talking about like that loser mentality that you can't want your team to lose, but that's blah blah blah. But I don't think that there's any shame in the defeated army bargaining for terms. And what I mean by that is that we're already out of the playoffs. We're the only thing as far as, the organization is concerned that matters is getting set for next year. And that involves getting the best draft pick that we can. That involves laying the foundations for our future. Now, we didn't play well enough to win this. No, Teddy Bridgewater did not play well enough to win this game. I loved the fight that the defense showed, though. The halftime adjustments, phenomenal. I'm not used to seeing that. I'm not used to it going in at halftime, getting shut out, and coming back and then shutting out. That's pretty awesome, especially against Aaron Rodgers. I mean, we completely took away their deep game. We gave up a lot underneath, like we always do. But I mean, we do consistently keep high-powered offenses from scoring a lot of points. My man Brian Burns with the clutch play at the end. I hope, I don't think it didn't look like he was too seriously hurt, but I hope it's serious enough that they keep him off the field for the rest of the season. There's no reason to get our guys hurt. Let's just start playing the seeds of next year's success. That involves keeping Christian McCaffrey healthy. That involves keeping Brian Burns healthy. There's no reason. We should be auditioning our less well-known players, in my mind, to see how they hold up under stress. There was one of the guys on our defensive backfield. I don't remember. I can't even remember the guy's name, like Morstead or something like Whitemore. Well, I don't know. But we're seeing a couple of unknown guys start showing up and making plays. But yeah, I think that this game, as far as next year's vision is concerned, this is exactly what we wanted to have happen. I'm optimistic. I wanted to say that I agreed with CK's point that he made about Marty Hurney last week, where I'm not going to be heartbroken if we don't re-sign him, but if we do re-sign him, I don't believe that that's a guarantee of mediocrity either. I do, however, think that if we don't find a way to keep Taylor Moton in this organization, either by signing him to a new contract or franchise tagging him or doing something, then I will firmly be against Marty Hurney's decision making. But
or anybody's, you're gonna have to tag him.
Anyways, keep pounding, guys. We'll see you later.
All right, last call of the night.
What's up, fellas? This is Zach from Greensboro again.
What's up, Zach?
Hope y'all are doing well. I just want to let y'all know that all I want for Christmas is by some fucking miracle for us to draft Trevor Lawrence. I know that's never going to happen. I know we literally have 0% chance of it happening, but, just as a Christmas wish, a Christmas miracle, I would love for us to draft that dude. All right, fellas. As always, I really love your podcast. I'm actually an Amazon delivery driver, so
God bless,
I actually listen to you guys at work. and you guys help me get through my day. And I appreciate what you do. I hope y'all guys have a good one.
Oh man, what a great call to finish on.
That's why I rock with y'all, man. See,
what
That-
a great
people
call to
rock with
finish on.
y'all.
Those are my favorite calls, man. Like people that call us in and tell us, man, that I listen to y'all when I'm driving or when I'm working.
Yeah, man.
Like to know that we offer somebody some solace, some an opportunity to kind of disconnect from your daily grind. Man, I love that shit, and that's why I'll keep on doing it. And my crippled ass will keep on coming up here, making up outlandish trade scenarios and saying all kinds of crazy shit. And I'll do it for you, and I have fun doing it, man.
I think
man.
I think the biggest, if there's a critique of the podcast, it's the length, right? I mean, like if there is
no, Tony, that is actually one of the things that's a benefit for him because he gets to this covers 3 to 4 hours of his workday.
Right.
You know?
But I think the benefit, though, I think there, on the other hand, there's a benefit to to this type of long form discussion, is that there is a group of people out there who are hungry for something more than just the top 5 bullet points.
Tony, we still have 70 viewers right now.
Yes,
right
we've been
now
going
we
with
have 70
People
viewers.
rock with y'all, man.
Yeah. Look, J-Dub here, man. We appreciate you guys. The number's 252-228-5098. Smash the thumbs up button and subscribe to the podcast. Like I tell everybody, is that the best thing you can do to help us as a podcast is to simply share the link with a friend or 5. You pick. I don't care. I don't want anything else from you other than just your opinions, your input, and a share. And you know what? Just we love. Look, as my wife was like, I said, gosh, it's like the holidays. I gotta go do the podcast. She was like, you want to hang out with us and clean instead? I was like, I'm going to do the podcast, bitch. I'm out of here. Anyway,
oh man.
All right. Look, I think in a roundabout way, we talked about the Packers game enough. I think we've talked about Marty Hurney enough in the draft. So I think it's time to kind of round this sucker out and close it out with some ice up picks. And my ice, CK, I want to ask you this before we get in the ice up picks. Is I was watching you and supporting your stream today and sharing it.
I appreciate that, my dude.
Yeah, no problem, man. It's like, look, you've done nothing but more for me. So that's the least I can do. But at the same time, I closed it out. I was trying to share it in other places and stuff. And I get back on and I go to Facebook gaming. Is it becoming porn now? Is Facebook
gaming? Oh, because of the girls?
Yeah. Is it becoming Instagram
it's
porn
been that
now?
way for a long time, dude.
That's what streaming is. That's what Twitch is.
Yeah, like any female streamers. Not all of them, but there's a lot that take heavy advantage of the fact that they realize that there are going to be teenage boys watching. Yeah, for sure.
And 30-year-old simps who have
this
nothing
podcast
to do with
would be
fucking-
so. We'd have so
18-year-old.
many subscribers if I had titties.
Yeah, I was. I'm really debating on whether I need to show cleavage or not. Honestly,
You're gonna have to shave that beard and get take some hormone action probably. All right, let's get to some ice up picks. Has anybody got anything fresh on their mind?
Yeah, I do. I
All
can jump in there fast.
Yo, let's go.
I'm icing up Dwayne Haskins, man. Dwayne Haskins was photographed not only without a mask, but that's fucking whatever, man. But on top of that, it was where he was at. He was at a strip club. Homeboy was at a strip club without a mask on, around all these strippers and shit. And my thing is this: I've been saying so much of the success of a quarterback is dependent on where they get drafted to and what scenario they go to. I really liked Dwayne Haskins coming out of Ohio State. I thought he would have a better trajectory than he did, but it has not panned out for homeboy. And on top of that, the narrative around you is that you're a bust, that you can't win the starting job, that you're not this, you're not that, you're a wasted first-round pick. Yeah, even if you got a shitty luck of the draw, bro, what do you think it does to you being at a strip club?
You don't get COVID from a girl's ass, yo.
Yeah, man, dude. It's
oh, I just gave you the best argument for. Never mind.
Whatever, man. All I know is that Dwayne Haskins shows no self-awareness in doing this. So, hey, man, I know you want to see some titties sometime. I know the feeling, but bro, it ain't worth it when you're the 15th pick in the draft and everyone's talking shit about you. So, to my man Dwayne, ice up, son.
All right, my ice up pick's gonna go to myself. And not for a ridiculous reason. But prior to the presidential election, I got concerned about volatility in the market. And I have a small stock account that I started with $2,000 with in 2015. Okay. Right. It's like my fantasy stock account, like I just play with it on my own. And I have made a significant amount of money off of Square stock. Yes. Over the last 5 years, it's been my darling stock since like 2016. The first time I ever bought it was at $25. So, my stock, the last buy-in that I had in on it was like $64, and the stock hit 194. Okay. A couple of days before the election. And I was worried about of what the election potentially could do to the market, and we were having a couple of down days. I put a stop sell on it, so as like if it touches 167, I'm gonna sell a portion off. I sold 6 shares out of 16, so I'm down to 10 shares now. But I'm icing myself up for this. Is that I'm 39 years old. When you got a winner, you just stick with a winner. This bitch is at $241.58 right now. Ugh. And then on top of that, if I would have just stuck with the 30 shares that I bought in 2016, rocket ship. So to me, ISO, I don't know. I don't think it was a bad move, but it was one of those moves. It's still a dove. You just get off.
You're still on a net positive,
you get off the you get off the horse a little too early. You know what I'm saying? So that's me. Ice up. God, no, Square is crushing it. All right, who's next?
I'll go an easy one. Steelers, ice up.
Oh, amen to that. They're bums.
Shout out Juju.
Juju on that beat.
Oh, Jason, you got a ice up pick for us?
Yeah, man. My ice up pick goes to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who I'm not even going to describe the things that Alabama's going to do to them, but just know that it will be straight up devastation and humiliation. And honestly, I can't wait because I never like Notre Dame because they're always overrated and they always get exposed. So ice up, Dame. Ice up.
Ice up.
You must be a Protestant.
Pretty good team to beat them too, if I don't say so myself.
He must be Protestant. All right.
Oh yeah.
This is the C3 Panthers podcast. Yeah. The number's 252-228-5098. They used to call me Tony Catholic in college. Jason Hewitt, thank you for joining us. Where can they find your work at?
Hey, they can find my work and my colleagues' work at si.com/NFL/Panthers. And be sure to follow our Twitter at SI_Panthers. We stay dropping that real talk. So go ahead and give us a follow and our stuff. We drop dope stuff and we're always connected with y'all. So
man, it was great hanging out with you tonight. CK, man of many video games. CK, how can they get after you?
You can find me on Facebook Gaming. It's going to be Coat Dizzle Allen. We're making moves, bro. We're making moves. We're moving up in the world, and hopefully you guys can come along for the ride.
Are you getting the tattoo?
At some point, yes.
You better live up to that. I want some input.
Once COVID's over, I think for sure.
I want some input on it. And Cody Lashney, how can they follow you?
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at Cody Lack, CODYLAC. I'm good about answering messages and replies and all that good stuff. Also, check out drafttech.com. I'm the Panthers analyst for drafttech.com, and I write about all
too.
Huh?
You putting in that work.
Yeah, man. Dude,
I read that last one.
Listen, man, to all the 67 people watching right now, I don't know how many people actually go and read my stuff on Draft Tech, but I really do put a lot of work into those, man. And I put a lot of time and effort and attention to detail in them. And I'm just saying, if you look at some of the stuff I write compared to other publications out there that claim to do real journalism, I think my stuff holds its own, So check your boy out, drafttech.com. I write a full write-up for the first Panthers pick, and by the time the draft rolls around, I'll do comments for the first and second round for the Carolina Panthers. That's drafttech.com. Holla at your boy.
Market update.
Yes, sir.
PayPal is only $2 ahead of Square right now. That's so stupid in the world of reality. Anyway, my name's Tony Dunn. You can follow me at cat_chronicles. We're here every Tuesday night. We'll be here after this post game. And look, I want to give everybody, just the well wishes for the holidays. Stay safe out there, whatever that means. God bless your families. Do something nice for your neighbor or for someone who needs some help. That's what I would suggest look at your life and find the things that you should be happy and blessed about. There's a lot more generally than you think when you spend that 5 minutes to just introspect. I know it's hard sometimes when we're grinding and working and doing all of that, and we get worn down. But, look, if you're hearing this message, I hope you have a happy holidays. Merry Christmas if you're Christian. Happy Hanukkah if you're Jewish. If you don't believe in any of it, just be nice to your neighbor. And that's it. Go Panthers and screw the Falcons. And that's it. God bless. That's the podcast. We're out.